Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. Every living creature, including humans, hurts other creatures just by existing. There was sorrow in her voice. What was she trying to say? Do you understand what I'm saying?
だから
So what?
だからね、
So,
無理しないでいいからね。
you don't have to force yourself to do anything you don't want to, okay? Did she mean I didn't have to force myself to go to school? Or that I shouldn't force myself to spend hours crying in ESO, and instead try to lead a healthier lifestyle? Or maybe that I shouldn't force myself to stay in control, and if I wanted... Okay? That's not what I... Okay? Now the last one was about... Yeah, it's... Yeah, there was a bit of a disconnect there. What? Are you yawning? Why would you write a yawn with a bunch of letter M's? It's supposed to be a bunch of A's. And maybe U's and N's. That's the sound you should... Yeah, that's not how you would write a yawn. That's sort of like if we were like somewhere and we saw like a tasty croissant. She stretched expansively, then jumped to her feet. Yeah, it's probably getting late. You should probably head home. The hem of her skirt was waving right in front of me.
私、喉乾いてきちゃった。
I'm thirsty. I probably have soda.
何か飲み物ある？
You got anything to drink?
な
I don't know, probably just soda. I stood up and headed to where the fridge was. I looked down into the fridge. I had a thing of soda, but I'd already drank from it. Giving it to
ない
her
な
would be
ら
weird.
買ってこようかな。
If
コン
you
ビニっ
don't,
て
I
深
can go
センの
buy
駅
something.
前に
There's
あ
a
ったよ
store
ね。
in front of Shinsen Station, right? I could sense Rimi standing up
ちょっ
behind
と行っ
me.
てくる。
I'll be right back. Oh. Okay. She smiled and left the room without waiting for my answer. Phew, being alone with a girl was... Now I'll say this. If she is in my imagination and being sent by fucking satellite waves, then the people doing that know already how much soda's in my fridge, and maybe they're also know that maybe my sister's on the way or something, or Yua, and they want to not have the outside confirmation about whether or not this person I'm talking to actually exists. And Remy, I don't know if she realized or not, probably not, but why this action sometimes was bad for my heart.
くんかくんか
I sniffed the area around the room. It smelled like flowers, or at least it seemed like it did. This was what a girl smelled like. This was Remy's scent. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. I mean, couldn't you just get like a Glade air freshener?
最低だ
I'm terrible. I sunk into my chair, disgusted at myself. I was supposed to be sitting here terrified of Shogun and Yua, and now I was all excited. I decided to do some more research on mind reading while Remy was out on her run to the store. I turned toward the PC and noticed that Grim was in the chat room calling for me. Nightheart, come downstairs. It's dinner time. I've got new info. Want to chat for a while? I know you haven't left your house today. Hey, Nightheart. You there, Nightheart? You're finally here. You took way too long, Nightheart. Mine's been going, whose eyes are those this whole time, thanks to you. Damn it, what does that even mean? Whose eyes are those? You just wanted to say that. Every time I see those words, it scares me. What's your new info? New gen stuff, of course. It's happened. The fifth murder. Well, at least I know I can't be the one who did it, because I've been here talking to a cute girl. So how would I kill anyone? I felt the same dark terror I always felt, but I also felt confused. I had felt sure Shogun and Yua were going to come after me next, but instead they'd gone after someone else. Of course, it was hard to say if I should be happy about that or not. Want to know more? It's on the page of Taboo News. You'll find it easily if you look. When today did it happen? They found the body last night? What was I even doing then? Last night. That was when I was hanging out with Fess, right? But the victim died the day before. Okay, so what was happening the day before that? That was when I was at the... was that when I was at school, or... No, that was one day there, so... I was either at school or the thing with... No, that was also Fess. So I think I'm good. This is another crazy one. You see, they took the guy's brain out? I panicked and Grim started giving me details without any warning. I had already heard and seen enough disgusting stuff. I didn't even want to hear about it. If I did, I might end up imagining it happened to me too. I didn't even have my D-sword yet either. But Graham continued oblivious. And here's where it gets really scary. How do you think they died? Malnutrition? What? They survived losing their brain. And they died of malnutrition. Kind of makes me think of how Shogun is like all withery and stuff. My body shook with fear. I pulled my knees close to me and wrapped my arms around them. How does that even... I don't even want to know. I won't hear anymore. Just please, leave me alone. My HP was already at 0. Brain death. They were something in a state of brain death. Oh, that's depressing. They might have been stuck like that for over a week. With no brain, they can't eat or drink. So her body rotted away from malnutrition. Matt-chan already named it brain dead, they're calling it. Lol. Those guys picked the best names. And here's the funny part. The guy was a psychiatrist? A psychiatrist losing his brain. Talk about ironic. A psychiatrist. Looking at the words made my heart race. I don't know, did I talk to a psychiatrist recently? I don't remember. Maybe I was overthinking things, but I didn't want to know. Part of me felt like I had to. What was the name of the person? I hesitated for a long time, but finally I clicked a link to the brain dead story of the Taboo News. Okay. Talk of fucking Shayna! Are you Jimmy motherfucking Christmas? It's the fucking doctor that went missing. Around the time that he stopped showing up either. So yeah, that's why he wasn't at the fucking hospital. Great. I mean, we guessed that maybe he was dead. But I was kind of hoping that wasn't the case. Fuck. I kind of, wanted that guy to be alive. Grantedly for selfish reasons, but still. I kind of wanted him to not be dead. So, Fumio Takashima, 41 years old, a psychiatrist at Tokyo General Hospital, was found collapsed on a Shibuya street early on the morning of the 23rd. Police have stated that he died from malnutrition. Mr. Takashima's skull had been cleanly cut open in the brain room. Again, there's no way I could have done this. One, how would I have kidnapped a fucking 41-year-old man who's a doctor? And then, What, would I have stole his fucking equipment to remove his brain? And where would I even kept the dude while he's not braining? The police stated there was a possibility the body had been remained alive after the brain removal in a state similar to brain death. The investigation revealed the toxin had been absent work on the 10th this month. Shibuya had been subject to national attention last month. The police are treating this murder as potentially yeah. I mean, it's
な
definitely
んてことだ。
no.
なんて。
The victim's name was Takashina. It's my fucking doctor. I'm killed. They were taunting me. Shogun was clearly taunting me. He'd killed Dr. Takashina, the man I was counting on to help, just to scare me more.
そんな。
No.
そんな。
So here's the thing. One of two things is happening with Rimi. One, Rimi is not real. Two, Rimi is gonna die. Or three, Rimi killed Takashina? I don't know. I don't really know anymore. I am so confused. Like I said, I still think we should trust her, just given the way she was. And we should just assume that my own memory is fucking up on me. But yeah, more than likely at this point I feel either she's not real or she's gonna be the next victim. At which point then I'll be sad about that. No, no.
助けて。誰か助けてくれ。
Help me. Somebody help me. I screamed. My head felt like it was tearing itself apart. I was going crazy.
ああ。
Random screaming noises.
やだやだやだ。
No, no,
死にた
no.
くないよ。死にたくない。
I don't want to die. I don't want to. Now here's the thing. That down there I assume is various hentai games or PlayStation games or something. Is it just you didn't want to draw the stuff? Or you like we're going to have it purposely blurry for the sake of making the game not be so graphic?
リミ、助けて。
Rimi, help me. I looked around the room for Rimi. I kept looking and looking and looking. Well, the fact that we're actually crying out for her means we've gotten over our initial bad impression. She wasn't here. She wasn't here. She wasn't here. Why wasn't she here? She left to go to the store. I fell to the ground, head in my hands.
僕を助けて、リミ。
Help me, Rimi. Please. Help me.
どこにも行かないで。
Don't leave me. Please. I won't. There was an answer. I gasped and looked up. Rimi was standing right next to me, holding a bag from the store. Shouldn't I have heard you come in through the door? I mean, the door made a really loud noise when you left.
リミ。
Rimi. She was back. Woo. Relieved, I stretched out a hand. Rimi crouched down and took it with both hands. The last time I'd touched them, Rimi's hands were cold. And that's her thing. At one point, she was here trying to offer a hand to us, and we were like, hiding underneath our computer desk, refusing her hand at all. Now we're actually the ones initiating. But now they were so warm.
ここにいる。
I'm here.
私は
I'm right here.
ここにいるから。
Okay? Again, the imaginary waifu is very reassuring, but again, logic. It's like, why is she imaginary? Why have I, if I've known her for a year and a half, why have I never met her parents? Why has she never met mine? Why is she not by sheer coincidence met my sister? Heck, given the personality that she has displayed recently, she is the kind of person who would have actively sought out my sister within the first few months. So well over a year ago. And she is in places and at circumstances that are extremely improbable. Also, any reason, no one seems to care where you are at this time of day or night? That being said, I do like it still.
ここにいる。私は
It's like, oh, who would have thought? Lonely otaku man who makes Let's Play videos would be happy to have random, cute, pretty waifu who's actually supportive and kind. Then again, we also have to keep in mind when we initially met this person, it was not under happy, comfy circumstances either. So who knows? We're not even sure who's real. Maybe I'm not real. I don't know. Are my parents even alive at this point? When was the last time I even heard from my parents? When was the last time I heard from my sister? Is my sister dead? Are my parents dead? Is Mishimo dead? Is the school still standing? Are the cops alive that we're supposed to... And here's the thing. Not only do I have Bon and Sua who are supposed to be watching me, there's other cops who are also sent here to watch the exact place where I am right now. Are they dead? If not, they're either watching me talk to myself or they're watching a girl come and go from my fucking trailer. Remy smiled gently at me and wiped my tears away with her fingers. I was really pathetic. Crying, screaming, being afraid like this in front of a girl. But Remy said she'd be with me anyway. While all fair points, we are dealing with a serial killer hitman who literally murdered our doctor. And he was literally sending us cryptic messages while the police are suspecting us of being the killer. Yeah, I mean, if this wasn't a point to freak out, I don't know what qualifies. I mean, at this point, I feel like... what's the next step higher? The door opens and... I don't know, Pyramid Head from Silent Hill's there, while a fucking nuclear warhead, mushroom clouds in the fucking horizon over there and I don't know, what's the closest major city that you'd be able to see from Tokyo if it got hit by a major bomb? It's like, oh, there's a frozen tornado and a nuclear holocaust. Everyone's like, that's... Can you imagine that a tornado made of ice? What if a tsunami made of fire? Why are you just fucking with nature? Right now, the only thing keeping my mind from shattering was this warmth. I didn't want to let go of his hand, not until I had the D-sword. What if she is the D-sword? What if she, transforms into a sword? Something very strange was happening at Miyashita Park in the depth of the night. Whose eyes are those? 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 A large group was huddled in the middle of the park. There was at least 100 people there, probably more. Most of them were their teens, okay? Some wore their high school uniforms, while others were girls wearing fashionable. Why are none of your parents? Oh, look at them. Is that a moon or a streetlight? I think it's a streetlight. That's a streetlight. There were boys wearing otaku-style glasses too, and even Ganguro girls, a rare sight these days. From a distance, it looked like some kind of local event, but if you get up close, you'd realize just how strange it was. Everyone was looking down on the ground with blank stares on their faces. There were so many people here, but nobody was talking to each other. They were just standing there, unmoving. Everyone was smiling as they mumbled and muttered to themselves. They were all endlessly repeating the same words. Whose eyes are those? There was no emotion in their voices. The words came out in the mouths of 100 people, flat and toneless as a monk reciting a sutra. So it's just like monk just doing chanting. Okay. Of course, there was almost no one else in the park, probably because they didn't want anything to do with this strange crowd. The women cutting through the park on the way home from work, the old ladies walking their dogs, they all turned and ran when they saw this bizarre sight. There was one man, though, who was watching them carefully. He seemed to have some involvement with the group, but he was standing a good distance away. He was wearing an outfit that would have fit right in with the Akihabara plaid shirt, jeans, beat-up sneakers, fingerless gloves, and a red bandana with a huge green backpack on his back. He was badly overweight, and his shirt buttons seemed like they might burst through. It was late October, so the weather was cold, but he was sweating, constantly wiping his forehead down with a hand towel. He seemed worried about something else. Every few seconds he would look around and check over his shoulder. Between these cheeks, though, he would let his shoulders sway and grin with joy. There was another sound in the park alongside the strange chanting, coming from the group. It was the sound of some kind of machinery, and it was coming from his backpack. Another teen came into the park. This one was a teenage girl in an unbuttoned blazer. She walked right toward the rest of them, showing no signs of fear at the strange chanting. Her long black hair, again, not quite black, but it actually would not look right against this background of black hair. And it actually looks better like this. She had half-eaten popsicle in her hand. Do you buy those in bulk? The group ignored her completely. They were lost in their own world, endlessly repeating the same phrase over and over. The fact that they ignored her didn't seem to bother her at all. When she got close to the group, she suddenly stopped. She stood for a moment eating her popsicle with an air of indifference. You could hear the sound of crunching and ice coming from her mouth when she took a bite. She's like, "Oh no, my popsicle's gone! No!" But when she finished the popsicle, we looked at the stick and then grunted and flushed it through. What do you win if it's a winner? Her gaze was sharp as she examined each individual in the crowd. Hey, who are you? The man with the backpack screamed as if he couldn't take it anymore. The girl, Senna Aoi, had noticed that he was the only person paying any attention to her. She snorted derisively at him, then suddenly crossed her hands and stretched them out in front of her. Then the space around her hands seemed to blur slightly, and the fuzzy outline of a metallic pole began to appear out of thin air. It passingly resembled a hoe, or maybe a shovel, but it didn't really look like either of them. It was a sharp blade that split just above the handguard. The blur faded and the weapon became solid. Santa grabbed it tight with both hands. But that wasn't all. Both ends of the blade she was holding, as well as the space off the right side, began to glow a blue light. Okay. More metal parts appeared in the growing space, just like before. Then, with a heavy clanking, they fused themselves together to the first blade. In the end, they formed a ring and a long trail of light that stretched out to its right. A long blade split as if in half appeared alongside the light. What had started as a sort of hoe or shovel had now become a massive sword. Sharp and elegant, pure and destructive, terrible and beautiful. It is a cool sword. The impossibly large weapon was now held in Senna's hands. The man with the backpack didn't react. He simply frowned and stared at Senna. You're not part of this, are you? Get lost. The tone of his voice, which was high-pitched for a man, was arrogant and brash. He waved a hand, shooing her off. Senna quietly opened her mouth to speak. Are you in charge here? It was more of a rhetorical question than an actual one. Her eyes were locked on the man with the backpack. He started to get scared. Answer me. Where's Hatano? The man went pale and stepped back, but didn't answer her question. The crowd continued to murmur whose eyes were those, without showing the slightest bit of interest in them. If anything, it seemed possible the crowd didn't see them at all. Senna and the backpack man were both staring at each other. The first to look away was the backpack man. Who is Hatano? Even if I knew him, I wouldn't tell you. Senna fell silent, swinging the sword around to her front and taking the fog stance. She bent her knees and leaned forward. Okay. Is this something that compels people to tell the truth? Like it's purple? Don't get the wrong idea. The sword glowed again. But instead of a pale light that at first was now red-violet. Is it? Like that's like a pink. There was a sudden sound like a woman's high-pitched scream. Is your sword a tuning fork? The air shook. That wasn't any sort of metaphor or simile. The air was physically moving. The space itself had begun vibrating, centered around Senna's sword. The blade's red light had become so intense that it was hard to look at. Senna let out a small breath, and she gritted her teeth hard. Okay. The noise grew louder. Lightning bolts raced from her blade. A sonic wave blasted the air itself. The vibrating sound stopped immediately afterward. But the blade was still flashing red like a pulsing vein. Senna slowly pointed the sword toward the man with the backpack. The crowd around them, which had been ignoring them thus far, finally took notice, and it seemed like they regained their senses because they ran from the park without knowing what had happened. Senna ignored them, keeping her eyes fixed on the man with the backpack. Okay. The man had been indifferent before, but now he was very afraid. His face was pale, and he was slowly stepping away from her, shaking his head as if to say no. Wait, I really don't know anyone named Hatano. They just told me what to do. I told you. Don't get the wrong idea. Senna ignored the man's pleas. I only asked as a way of saying hello. No matter what you said, I was going to destroy it. There was a fierce light in her eyes. The man with the backpack screamed pathetically before he turned and ran. But the direction he had chosen was right toward the stampeding crowd. With nowhere to run, he froze. By then, Senna had already leapt toward him, closing the distance in an instant. So is he dead? Or just the backpack? Did you kill the backpack? Her strike was quick and powerful. So strong and so fast that it was hard to believe. It came from her frail body. She swung her blade in an arc, slicing through the man's backpack and destroying what was inside. The impact blew the man backwards. He fell on the ground, curling up in a ball and shivering. He didn't have the strength left to run. He had pissed himself in fear, and the damp smell was forming on his pants. Santa walked over to me and showing no interest in the man himself. Instead, she looked down into what was left of his backpack. Okay. There was a machine inside, shooting off small plumes of sparks. It looked like something like a bulky modem, but now it had been smashed to useless pieces by Santa's sword. The loud mechanical noise emanating from it a moment ago was nowhere to be heard. Nozomi. She whispered this name to no one in particular. There was hatred in her voice. Okay. As autumn grew deeper, the air got colder. It was hard to believe that I had been wearing short sleeves just a while ago. So, did we have a time skip? The sky above me was hazy, like its colors were starting to fade. The leaves at the park were brightly colored, though. Maybe the trees were stealing the color from the sky. I looked at the sky and jammed a toothbrush in my mouth. The nice thing about the base was that I had a whole roof to myself, without worrying about what anyone would see me. The sink was on the shipping crane outside, which made it rough when it rained. But on days when the weather was clear, I always brushed my teeth outdoors. I rubbed my sleepy eyes as I brushed my teeth. Remember what happened yesterday. Okay, so it's only been one day. Remy stayed with me until late at night. She'd even held my hand for the hour or so it would take me to calm down. She'd gone home without anything else happening, though. A boy and girl in the same room for hours, and nothing romantic happened at all. I mean, that's actually fairly normal. If I had the conversational skills necessary to make something happen, though, I would have had a girlfriend ages ago. If anything, I was disgusting myself for hoping something would happen at all. Remy was trying to help me purely as a friend. Did we tell her about the whole brain dead thing that occurred? I assume it probably happened during that hour of calming. Remy offered to stay with me was one of the few things even keeping us together. Having that support made a huge difference. Despite the shock of Dr. Takashima dying in the brain dead murder, a day later I was actually feeling fairly stable. Maybe it was because my head was full of all the stuff I'd been reading in the patents and court records. I'll say this. Whether she's real or not, having Remy Sakahara as an emotional support is really important. Even if she's possibly also something else going on. The power to project delusions into reality, did it really exist? Was Shogun after me because I had it? If I did have that power, memories from when I was young came back to me. The day I hadn't been able to go to the field trip, the day I was the one who didn't get in the accident, the bus had crashed and all my classmates got hurt. My teacher, Mr. Sato, had died. I'd seen the images in my head so clearly. I could see every detail. Was that really just me seeing the future? If maybe that wasn't me seeing the future, but just my delusion. And what if I had made that delusion reality? My whole body felt like it was about to start shaking. I wrapped my arms around myself to keep my body still. If that was true, I was a murderer. Not really, but it just means, okay, I need to be careful. But also, like all those times you've made that statement, like, oh, you wish your sister was dead or something. Yeah, you might want to watch that now. But in that situation, speaking of which, yeah, I think that's your sister. But, just saying, in that circumstance, there was no reason for you to possibly expect that. Also, you were like 4th grade. Good morning. Oh, no, I can't recognize people's voices. Remy was there. Okay, I'm pretty sure all of the members of Nishijo's family are dead now, because we haven't seen them in days. Remy was there. She was incredibly cheerful for it to be this early in the morning. Seeing her smile made my shaking stop. Okay, we were having a conversation outside with, if this person is not real, then the cops are just like, why is he just standing out there talking to someone who doesn't exist? And if she is real, they're like, why is this cute girl here? It was so strange. Normally, I couldn't stand being around 3D girls, but for some reason, being with Remy made me feel better. I think in general, people that have sort of issues with social interaction, again, like I said, it's not that hard to talk to women. It's not hard to be socially interactive. It's just there are very few opportunities for such a thing. And as time has gone on, really, there's no point to really trying. There are no avenues in which that can really exist anymore. That being said, one reason why people would have issues with talking to real world people is because lots of very bad experiences and really just a lack of real world people that would actually want to talk to you. And even then, a lot of times people are just busy. Life can get hectic.
迎えに来たよ。
I came to get you.
なんでポッカーンってしてるの？
What's with the shocked face? Oh, right. According to my schedule, today was a school day. Well, I told Remy about that
迎
yesterday.
えに来てあげるって言ったよね。
I'll come to get you on the way to school then. Right. Thanks to Shogun, I was afraid to even go outside now. That was why Remy had offered to stay with me. She was keeping her promise.
まさか本当に来るとは思わなかったとか？
Don't tell me you didn't think I'd come.
ビシッ。
Snap.
残念でした。こう見えても私、尽くすタイプなんだ。
Too bad. I may not look like it, but I am the caring and devoted type. That's actually incredibly nice. And I think most people, or at the very least me, and I'm just projecting my own feelings about that onto everyone else on the planet. But I like that. Granted, there's still concerns about the whole crucified thing. I'm not sure if that was real. I'm not sure if you're real. But I like this. She gave me a mischievous wink.
残念でした。こう見えても私、尽くすタイプなんだ。
I like the voice actors. Was this an H game? In the railroad, your female classmate didn't come to pick you up on the way to school. Well, I mean, honestly, Nishijo is actually very valid in this point. That, in general, this is a very unusual circumstance that would never happen in reality. I mean, maybe stuff's different in Japan? I don't know. Maybe stuff's different for people that are not me? But I feel like people that, even if they're in a relationship, this wouldn't happen. I don't know. It would have been even better if she'd come in my room when I was still asleep. I mean, that would kind of be like a violation of personal boundaries. You don't just go into someone's house, you know, without permission. I mean, the only situation which she'd be permitted to enter our place is if we were already in a committed long-term relationship where either we're living together or, you know, she's basically allowed to come over and spend the night. But usually that is usually a thing that would be a sort of a transition period sort of thing. Basically, that's the sort of thing that leads into, you know, you're going to be living with the person. That's more of a, fiance sort of thing, right? That's like skipping many more steps than what is happening. So that's the thing. Nishijo is correct here that this is illogical for her to be here at all. I mean, it's appreciated, but it's extremely not something that would normally happen in reality. And again, that also makes it more special that it's occurring too. But yeah, that's also. But yeah, her coming in our thing while we're asleep. I mean, I feel like that would only be like a relationship sort of thing. But then again, I even feel as a relationship, her coming to pick us up like this, like that doesn't happen. I don't think it happens. But then again, maybe my concept of what's normal doesn't apply. But then again, this is a video game about very improbable things. But you can't have everything, I guess. As I lost myself to my silly delusions, Remy suddenly looked up at the sky. She was looking at something far away again. Are you looking at a satellite?
冬の空が色あせたように見えるのは
The winter sky looks like its colors have faded.
どうしてだと思う
Why do you think that is?
冬の空が色あせたように見えるのは
The winter sky looks like its colors have faded. Why do you think that is? Sunlight contains a spectrum of 7 colors. The 7 colors, same colors seen in a rainbow. For those 7 colors to reach the human eye, they have to pass through the Earth's atmosphere. When that happens, a phenomenon called scattering occurs. Basically, light collides with molecules in the air, and the gas gets bent in random directions. And when the light bends in random directions, it starts flying all over the place. The more it scatters, the easier it is for it to enter the human eye. The colors which scattered most easily were purple and blue. That's why the sky was blue. I am very smart. But Remy's answer was very different from my dull scientific one.
寒くてみんなが下を向いちゃうから
It must be because it's cold, and everybody's looking at the ground. Well, I mean, honestly, that is true. One, various brightness levels, especially with snow and stuff, even though I don't see any snow, would affect how the human eye captures light. So one, the human eye captures light differently. Like, first off, the actual physical organs in the human body that capture light, the eyes. And you're like, why are you explaining in so much detail? Like I'm trying to make it clear that it's two different things that change when the weather changes. First off, the way the human eye perceives color changes. Also, the way the light itself exists changes. For example, if you were to have a lightning storm, because if I were to ask, what color is lightning? Usually you'd probably say yellow. But lightning will change colors based on the temperature. Now, granted, most colors of lightning you probably won't see because humans probably wouldn't survive those temperatures. But for example, if you had a thunderstorm, granted there'd be a lot of snow instead of, rain. But if you had a thunderstorm during a cold winter, during the snow, it would have the lightning would be green. So, which means hypothetically, if you were to have it colder and colder, you'd get a color, and warmer and warmer, you get different colors.
青を望む人の数が減っちゃうの
So there aren't as many people who want it to be blue. Okay, are you treating the sky like it's a diverge? Like it's powered off the prayers of people wanting to see a blue sky? And there's weren't enough people thinking about it to give enough power to do it? Remy had said something like that before, but when was it again?
だから寒くても上を向いて歩こ
So even if it's cold, let's look up as we walk. Well, honestly, that sounds like you're saying more of a saying that's supposed to cheer people up. Like, I feel like that's the sort of thing that you'd say to people like it would become a regular saying. Because it's very heart's in the right place. I quickly changed, and Remy and I left the Kurenai building together. Together. Going to school with a girl was something normal people did. I was about to criticize that, but I am not normal people. And I'm honestly not qualified to say what is normal. I was still scared of Shogun and Yua, and I hated them and wished they would die. I meant it too. It wasn't just something I was saying, but thanks to them I was able to experience what a normal person's life was like. Maybe I could be a little grateful. Just a little. And that's another thing. It also makes sense for Nishijo to be a bit paranoid and standoffish. You might say, it's like, oh, well, maybe that makes him more antisocial. Probably, you're right. If anything, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy when it comes to that sort of stuff, depending on the circumstances. But in general, if a human or even an animal is isolated for a long enough time, they become very paranoid, very anxious, and potentially even aggressive. But most of all, they become very anxious and paranoid. That's true of humans or animals in general. Anything that's meant to have, social interactions, if deprived of social interactions for a long enough period of time, it can cause mental instability. Which, of course, then that mental instability can cause other people to not want to be around the person, which then reinforces the isolation, causing the person to become more mentally unstable. The other thing is also with the increased mental instability, the person will be more likely to be withdrawn and to avoid people, which will also, again, reinforce the mental instability and make it worse. Again, it's an endless feedback loop. At which point the only solution is just not having a social life. Because there is no other solution. The only logical conclusion, the only logical path a person can take, hikikomori. It's the only thing you can do at that point. Common sense. Or at least I try to make myself think that way. But when I did, Dr. Takashina's face came back to me, and any joy I felt slipped away. It might have been my fault he was killed. Dr. Takashina was connected to me, so Shogun killed him either as a warning or as a way to provoke me. I was overcome fear and worry. Little by little, I was starting to fall behind Remy. I took a glance at the back of her head. What kind of look was on her face? The humming is pretty. She was humming a song. It was a song from the Phantasm CD I'd lent her last night. Her steps looked light and carefree. We weren't even talking. How could she seem so happy? Looking at her helped my worries a little bit, but to be honest, why was she being so nice to me? Was the answer inside my memories of her? The ones I didn't remember? At this point, we should also mention to her, if we didn't mention the Takashina thing, like, hey, Remy, I appreciate you walking with me, but I think the new gen killer is targeting people that know me, which means if you stay around me, they're going to try to kill you. You should probably leave. I mean, I like having you around, but I don't want you to die. The ones that I don't remember. When we got to school, I sent her on ahead and went to the bathroom. This was another survival technique of mine. I really appreciated that she was doing all this for me. But going to school with a girl in tow would mean standing out too much. In particular, there was no telling what DQNs in my class would think. So, to make it look like I had come to school alone, I slipped into the bathroom and killed some time. This turned out to not work, however. I left the bathroom trying my best to act natural and kept my head down as I walked on the side hallway of the classroom. Before I got there, though, I could see Ayase walk toward me. Our eyes met, her lips curled into a slight smile. Oh, thank you, I appreciate the nice greeting. Why are you out of breath? What was that breathing thing? Are you okay? Ayase was famous. I didn't want to risk attention by talking to her. But she stood in front of me, blocking my path. I didn't have a choice. I don't think most of our classmates know about that stuff. So as long as neither me or my dumbass friend says anything, it's like, why are you calling a dumbass? Because he was hitting on her the way he was.
匠、あれから警察はどう？
Takumi, how'd it go with the police? I put a hand over my mouth to stop myself from screaming. Well, why would you talk about something like that with all these people around me? Probably because most of the situations, most of these people aren't paying attention to you. Now, granted, again, Nishijo is valid in the DQN idea, just because there are many times where if I stood out, people would purposely come over and attack me. But I feel like my personal experience is a bit out of the ordinary and doesn't even apply to Nishijo. Great, we're now out otakuing the otaku. I am less normal than the crazy person who is part of a horror psychological fucking story. Like, hey, here's a fucking visual novel about a person who's crazy. The person playing the video game is out crazing them. I'm like, fuck, I'm just being myself. It's like that fucking diagnosis thing in the fucking game menu. Like, fuck you. I quickly looked around. This was incredibly bad. Ayase was a local celebrity. Is she? I mean, I don't think most people even know that she's a musician. So yeah, I don't think anyone here knows other than Mishimo. It was rare enough for her to come to a school, but not that she was a vocalist of the famous band Phantasm, and pretty to boot. I mean, she is very pretty, but it's anime. Why would you draw someone who's not pretty? Like, I mean, if everyone can be pretty, why not? Everyone, boys and girls both, were interested in her. Yeah, I can totally understand that. Normally, there would be no way she'd ever talk to a loser like me. The gazes of the people around me were causing me physical pain. I wanted to run away. I kind of want Remy to show up so like these guys can like interact with each other, so I can have other people confirm that Remy is real. The gaze of people around me caused me physical pain. I wanted to run away. And again, I can understand that. But again, that's, because of reasons.
剣を探して。
Find the sword.
君はそうしなくちゃいけないのよ。
You have to find it. She always said the same thing when we ever met. There was a chance Ayase was on my side, but having her say the same damn thing every time was getting my nerves. I wanted to find it too, I just didn't know how.
ヒントが欲しい。
I need a hint.
君はどうやってあれを手に入
Yeah,
れた？
yeah, that's a very logical thing to ask. My ear is itchy. Yeah, how did you get it?
いつの間にか。
One day I just had it. So it just shows up? Well, what did you do before that? That again, was she just screwing
気
me?
づかなかったわ。
I didn't notice it first.
でも、
But I changed the way I looked at things, and I understood.
もしかしたら、
Maybe you
匠
can
にももう
already
見えて
see
いるの
it?
か見ているだけ
You。just don't. What the hell did that mean? Again, maybe it's that fucking bangle I gave my sister. Talking to Ayase was always exhausting. It was like some weird Zen koan
ちゃんと
thing.
探してるよ。
I'm looking for the
僕だっ
sword.
て絶対
I
手
want
に
to
入れ
find
たい
it,
か
you
ら。
know? I sighed as I answered, and then the gaze of the people around me grew too much to bear. I ran past Ayase and into the classroom. What I found there only made me feel worse. Misumi and some other boys were staring at me in shock. Crap, they'd see me talking to Ayase? This was bad, I didn't know what they were going to say. If I was lucky, they might just make fun of me, but there was also the chance they might do something a lot worse. I looked down and headed to my seat, trying to make myself as small as possible. Please, just let everyone leave me alone.
おいおいおい
Okay, what's with that tone, dude? My prayer went
タク
unheard.
てめえいつの間に今岸本と話してたよな
Taku, when did you were talking to Kishimoto just now, weren't you? Yeah, probably. I just said hi to her, man. Hey, how was your day, man? What you been up to lately? Besides, why do you fucking care, man? You have like 20 girlfriends. The most I could do was shut up. I couldn't look up.
岸本が誰かとまともに会話してるとこ初めて見たぜ一体どんな手使ったんだよ
I've never seen anybody actually talk to Kishimoto. How the hell did you just pull that off? I don't know. I was just myself. It seems to terrify everyone else, but she seemed cool with it. Please don't talk so loud the rest of the class can hear. Please just leave me alone. I'm not going to try to date or say anything. It's not like I have a chance anyway. So please just calm
なあタ
down.
ク教えろって
Come on, Taku, tell me.
大地
Daichin. Rimi interrupted. Thank you.
落ち着け
Calm down. You can see he's upset, right?
ああ悪い悪い
And here's the thing. I've never seen Mishimo interact with other people either. Are you both figments of my imagination? It's like, oh, we're the only two that care about you. Neither of us are real. Great. Why is this game relatable? Sorry. Mizumi dropped his voice low and patted me on the back. I sighed a little without looking up. Rimi had saved me again.
で実際のとこ
So
ろ
really,
どうやったんだ
how'd you do it? I'm not going to be dating her. Besides, you already have like 20 girlfriends, man. Mizumi was always a man that thought only of his little head.
もう
Jeez.
大地ってほんと切ない
Daichin,
よね
you're such a perv.
そのうち彼女さんに
Your
刺
girlfriend's
され
probably
るん
gonna
じゃな
stab
い
you one of these days, right? That's still excessive. I mean, yes, he shouldn't be doing what he is. I'm not even sure if he has more than one girlfriend. I'm not sure if he's even real. Maybe he's like the Tyler Durden thing. Like, he's just my thing of my imagination where I imagine, like, ooh, yeah, the hentai protagonist who's dating all these girls and shit. Like, maybe he's just a projection of what I would expect I would be if I was living the life of a hentai protagonist. And honestly, it probably makes it easier for him to have relationships when they're as imaginary as he is.
心配すんなって俺こう見えても各種ケアは欠かさねえから
Don't worry, I take good care of her in all kinds of ways.
何それ
What does that mean?
なあタク
Hey,
聞けろ
Taku,
よ
tell me,
岸本とはどんな
what's the
感じな
deal
んだ
with you and Kishimoto? Mishimo was rubbing my shoulders. He wouldn't let the subject drop. I looked up, afraid. Half the boys in the class were whispering to each other and glancing at me. This was bad. They were still looking at me. Don't look at me. I felt the prickling at the back of my neck. If the DQNs came after me, I was finished. My life would become a hell of bullying. What should I do? Run? Cut class? Go home? But I couldn't go home alone. The thought of running into Shogun or Yuru was too much for me. Have Rimi or come home with me? She said she was carrying the devoted part. She'd said she was the caring and devoted type. If she wasn't lying, she'd skip school alongside me. I just needed to get out of here as soon as possible. Suddenly, there was a loud noise at the entrance. Yeah, Rimi and Misumu, they're both genuinely surprised, or they're just mirroring my own emotions given the fact they're not real. Everyone turned to look at it. Oh, hi, you. I can't remember your name. So, also, I don't even know if you were the person that was in front of that incinerator or not. I can't remember. It was a transfer student. She was rubbing her tear-stained eyes and bowing an apology to everyone she could see. As always, she was completely silent. I am so confused. The entire classroom also fell at sign of development. What had just happened? I don't know.
今の
Did you
見たか
see that? I mean, she cried for some reason. I don't know.
一人で勝手に扉に激突してたね
And then she slammed right into the door. I think she needs glasses. I think she might... Does she not have depth perception? I think she needs glasses.
うーんやっぱ小
Goes
瀬ちゃんは
ways
可愛いな
So cute. I mean, true, she is cute. Then again, Isn't everyone in the game cute? I'd never seen somebody so klutzy outside of an anime. Oh my god. Except me. I am a bit of a klutz. Did you... I think you need to wear glasses. Oh,
また泣いた。
she's crying again.
大丈夫かな。
Is she okay?
すごい音してたけど。
That was a huge noise. Remy whispered, worried, and then headed to the transfer student faster than anybody else. She's pretty nosy from the look of it. Or maybe kind was a better word.
リミに先
Oh,
越さ
Remy
れた
got ahead of me. Wait.
待て待て
We have to be the one to make Kozue feel better. Now here's the thing. During the time of looking at Kozue, is it possible that Kozue is real, but then when I'm seeing you guys interact with her, I'm then seeing an imaginary Kozue as an image overlay of the real Kozue who is not interacting with people? Mimisumi shouted as he raced after. Kozue's accent was, for me, good luck. All the boys who've been staring at me are now looking at her. G.J. Good job, transfer student. But I happened to hear what some of the girls near me were saying. Ew.
何あれ
What was that about?
狙ってやってんじゃん
She did that deliberately, I bet. Just a few faint whispers. And here's the thing. Are they actually whispering that? Or am I imagining it? Okay. Did you know there are several nerve channels in your vision called dead spots which are not normally used? Does this have anything to do with the second generation? It does. Let's do a simple experiment. Look at this. Okay. I'm busy man, you know. This is important. On the left side of this diagram, you'll see a dot. On the right, a ring. Okay. Now cover your left eye with your hand. Okay. Stare at the dot using only your right eye. Okay. I also have to read this. Yes.
いくらドットだけを見つめていても隣にあるリングがついでに見えているのは当然だと思うがな。
Yeah, I mean, I still see it. Oh, I didn't read the thing. No matter what you stare at the dot, you're still going to see that ring, I think. Alright, sir, keep looking at the dot, but bring your face closer to the monitor. What happens to the ring? Okay, there are points in which it's still in the middle of my field of view. And I can still see the whole screen. Like, I can see... Like, I have good peripheral vision. But there's times where I'll lean in. And there's points in which it just blinks out. I'd say... If I'm sitting back in my chair all the way, I'm probably about 1.5 arm lengths away from my computer screen. And if I lean in while staring at the dot, I would say at, okay, how far am I? Okay, when I'm at half an arm's length away from the computer screen, the ring disappears. And then as I get closer, it's not until I'm about 6 inches from the screen that I can see the ring again. And if I were to be like right up on the screen, it would disappear. But that's good. Given the fact that I'm probably, 3 feet away from the screen at most? Maybe? Let me open both eyes so I can get a better idea of depth perception. Okay. If I lean back in the chair all the way, but honestly, if I sit like a normal person, I'm probably about 2 feet from the screen. So I'd say between 6 inches from the screen to about 18 inches from the screen, it does disappear. So that does work. Which is kind of illogical. Even though we're saying illogical like 20 fucking times. But yeah, if I look at the dot on the left-hand side with my right eye and lean forward, there's times in which even though the ring is right there directly in the middle of my... Like, it's not even my peripheral vision. It's still right in the middle. Like, I could have tunnel vision. It would still be right there where I should be able to see it. And yet there's moments where it just is gone. That's the thing. If I'm staring at that dot, I lean forward. There's a good between 6 inches from the screen with my forehead to about 1.5 feet away. Even though it's like directly in front of me, it disappears. Even though it's actually closer to my eye than the right dot is. The dot's further away from my right eye. So like it's one thing to like not be able to see something on the outside of your peripheral vision. But the idea is that that ring, it's not in my peripheral vision. It's literally just straight up in, right in front of me. And even though, like I said, if you close your left eye and you lean forward, there's a large area of space in which the ring has completely disappeared. Even though it's directly in front of me, I should have no trouble seeing it. It's gone. This actually works.
ほう、これは
Oh my.
興味深いね。
Fascinating.
右側のリングが
The
消え
ring on the right disappeared.
そうですね
Correct? Yes. I was actually very... And like I said, it's not an outside my peripheral vision. It's that with one eye, like, even though it's directly in front of me, it turns invisible. I mean, actually, any of you viewers out there can do the same thing and see for yourself.
これは視界が狭まったからではありま
This
せん
isn't because your vision got
そ
narrow.
の証拠に
Get even
さらに
closer
モニ
and
ターに近づくことで
you'll find
リ
the
ング
ring
はまた視界に
returns.
現れます
これは一体
And how
どんな
exactly
ト
does
リッ
this
ク
little
だ
magic trick work?
いいえ
It's
ト
no
リック
trick.
の類ではありませ
This is
ん普段は使用
one
さ
of
れ
the
ていないです
functions
が
of the human eye,
人間が元
just
から持
not
っている目の機能の
one
一
that's
つで
often
すよ
used.
これはデッドスポットと呼ばれ
These are called dead
ノ
spots.
アによって人間の視界の
These
中
are the
に
channels
無
used
か
by
ら世を
Noah
作り出す際
to
に使
create
用する
something out of
チャネル
nothing
なのです
within human vision. Classes had ended, and I was standing by the school entrance. Twilight was spreading over the sky. Several crows were silently flying past me, flapping their wings as they receded into the distance. I was waiting for Mimi. She was cleaning duty today. She hadn't promised to walk home with me today, but I was sure she would. I had been standing here for over 15 minutes waiting for her. I wasn't sure what would happen tomorrow, but I'd made it through today. Masumi had been so desperate to talk to the transfer student that he'd forgotten to ask me any more questions about Ayase. Thank you so much, transfer student. And I need to close this notification. Hello. It's Cosway. Speak of the devil, she does come walking by. Okay. She bowed at me, looking like she was about to cry. I bowed back awkwardly, and then I watched her slowly walk toward the school gate. I realized just again how small she was. She had the body of a lolly, and she was a klutz, too. I wasn't sure about her personality, but it was probably very sweet. She ticked all of the Moe check boxes. But the other girls didn't like her, supposedly. I guess there's a difference between 2D and 3D.
タク
Daku! She ran back toward me.
わざわざ待っててくれたんだ。ありがと
You were waiting for me, right? Thanks.
う。そんなに私と一緒に帰りたかった？
You really wanted to go home with me, huh? Well, I mean, even without the murder thing going on, if I had someone who wanted, to actually spend time with me like this, then yes, I would have waited for you. However, in real life, under most circumstances, such people don't exist. I have had relationships, but those were a very small percentage of my life. Majority of my life has been me being entirely alone. That being said, anytime I did have a relationship, I cared about and loved those people. However, yeah, things never work out, which is fine. I mean, it's not like there's anything I could have done about it. She looked at me with a grin. I quickly turned my head away. Thanks to the setting sun, she probably didn't realize how red my face was. It was less that I wanted to go home with her and more that I was too scared to go home by myself. Even while I've been waiting, I've been terrified that Yua might be lurking around the corner. Remy knew that, but she decided to be mean and ask anyway.
あ
I was hoping you'd say yes, even if it wasn't true.
ねえ私さ
Hey, you know? Remy suddenly looked off into the distance. Her eyes sparkled red in the light of the setting sun.
タクの力になれて結構嬉しいよ
I'm pretty happy I got to help you. You know, same.
ありがとう。
Thank you. The words were out of my mouth before I even knew I had said them. I really was grateful. Remy was somebody I couldn't live without. Until I found the D-sword, she was all I had.
どういたしまして
You're welcome. Remy smiled happily and led me
さ
on.
あ帰ろ
Come on, let's go home. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have a problem with a girl if she was, actually walking a distance ahead of me sometimes if she just got carried away. Though, just means like person's overly excited. My school, Sume Academy, was in the luxury residential district of Shoto. All the houses in the area were expensive and gave off a sense the people that lived there were important. But even though it was just a few minutes away from the heart of Shibuya, there weren't many people out. It kind of felt lonely.
うタクって
Taku, you're
意外とモテるよね
pretty popular with girls, huh? Yeah, I have to agree. She startled me so much I was gasping for air. What the heck was she talking about?
あれ自覚ない
You didn't realize? She smiled and pointed her fingers at my nose. You aren't supposed to point at people, you know.
だってこの前はメガネかけた3年生の綺麗な人と一緒だったし
You were talking with that pretty third-year student with the glasses the other day. I can't remember if Sena wears glasses.
あれは
Oh, that was...
うん昨日聞いたタクに意地悪する人だよね
Or do you mean... Oh, you mean you, Yeah, I heard all about it yesterday. The girl who was mean to you, right? If you knew that, then why?
今日はあのフェスと話してた
And today you were talking to Fess.
あと折原さん
And there's
転校してき
Orihara,
た後
too.
に真っ先にタクに声をかけてたよね
You were the first one she talked to on her first day here.
さらに今こうして私と一緒に帰ってる
And now you're going home with me.
ほらモテ
See?
モテだ
You know lots of girls. I mean, it's not that hard. I mean... Like I said, it's not hard, but then again, like I said... Yeah... Time marches on. This is something I've been thinking about lately, too. Yeah, we're at least talking to more people than normal. Am I about to get a girlfriend? Is this a new amazing chapter of my love life? Maybe. It could lead to that. Who knows? But for now, let's just enjoy that we have people to talk to. It's just nice to have friends. And yeah, it's nice that there's girls that are friends. It doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. It's just nice to talk to people. Things like that. A month ago, I never would have thought it was possible. Back then, I'd never even had a chance to talk to girls, except Nanami. I'd even lied to myself and everybody was saying I wasn't interested in them. How come I'd had so many more chances to talk to girls over the past month? It all started when Shogun had entered the chat room. So part of me wondered, was this whole past month part of my delusion? Was I just having a long, long dream? It felt like things I was experiencing right now might all just vanish tomorrow. Sometimes it seemed that way anyway. Or had the person inside me changed? I mean, we all, grow as we get older. Maybe the person controlling me before now would just love to play by themselves, and the person controlling me now liked working with the other characters. Either way, it was hard to believe that this past month was real. Too much had changed. Too much had happened.
私今日初めて知ったんだけどフェスって同じ学校だったんだね
Anyway, I just found out today that Fess goes to our
し
school.
かも同学年の隣のクラス
And she's in our grade, in the next class over. Rimi's voice took on an excited tone. She must really be a trend follower.
昨日タクから CD 借りたばっかりだからすごくびっくりしちゃった
It was only yesterday that I borrowed her CD. So I was
そ
super
れに
surprised.
すごく可愛い子だし。
And she's really pretty too. Remy came around to my front. Her tone dropped to a low, hesitant one as she spoke, still walking backwards. Don't fall? Don't, like, trip and hit your head or something.
何話してたの？
What were you talking about with her?
今朝、フェス、岸本さんと
This morning, with Fess. Kishimoto. How did you even know
聞か
about
せて
this?
ほしいな。
I want you to tell me. One, how did you even know I was talking to her?
聞く権利なんてないかもって思うけど。でも、
Maybe I don't have the right to know, but... Well, I'd say under normal circumstances, just as a friend, no, but given the fact that we are walking home together and serial killer stuff going on, yes. Also, I'd say serial killer stuff aside, if we were dating, then yes, I should tell you. But we're not. You asked. But we're not, so... I don't know.
岸本さんと話してた時のタク、すごく思い詰めた様子だったから、なんだか心配で。
When you were talking to her, you looked really upset. I was kind of worried. She'd even seen that too. Maybe it was safe to tell Remy everything. There wasn't anybody else I could talk to about it, and I was just getting tired of thinking about things of my own. I wanted somebody else's opinion, and not somebody like Ayase or Sena, who just say weird abstract things that didn't make sense. Somebody who could clearly tell me what they thought. But, well, when I talked to her yesterday, she hadn't believed a word I'd said.
話してたのは
I was talking to her about
剣のこと。
the sword.
剣って、
Sword?
昨日タクが言ってたやつ。
You mean the one you were talking about yesterday? I nodded.
綾瀬は持ってるんだ。
Ayase has one.
何を？
What?
本物を。
A real one. Remy gasped, or I thought she did. Her eyes went wide and she seemed to stagger back a few steps. Why?
嘘だ。
Liar. She sounded really doubtful.
だってあれ、おもちゃでしょ？
That thing's just a toy, right?
だから
I
僕
told
の
you.
はおもちゃだけ
Mine
ど
is a toy.
彼女
But
の
hers
本物で
is real.
ライブ行けば見ら
You
れ
go
る。
to her concert so you can see. I stopped in mid-sentence. Could she see it? Ayase had told me that only people with the right power could see the D-swords.
ライブに行けば、その本物の剣を見られるの？
If I go to her concert, can I see this real sword? Possibly. Apparently it's invisible to most people.
じゃあ、今度行ってみようかな。ファンタズムのライブそのものも見たいし。
It sounds like a date. Yes, I'm trying to be funny and facetious about it, but also kind of half serious. Maybe I'll go sometime. I'd love to see a Phantasm concert. I did have one girlfriend. It's actually the second longest relationship I was ever in. Probably actually the healthiest relationship I was ever in, too. Her family actually really liked me a lot. Granted, I'm not much of a football enjoyer, and they knew that. But her and her whole family were really into football, so I'd sit and watch the games with them. But, yeah, for the most part, she was pretty chill. But I remember when we were still together, we'd actually bought tickets for a concert. We were going to stay at a hotel and all that, but of course, we split before that. So I went to the concert technically by myself. You're like, well, what do you mean technically? Well, my friend, his girlfriend, and his other friend, and that person's girlfriend were also there, but they booked a double bedroom thing in another hotel. So they were off in a different hotel, apparently eating a bunch of pizza and fucking and taking Xanax and shit. And, well, and there was me in my hotel room by myself, eating chocolate muffins, watching South Park on the TV in my hotel room by myself. It was a cool concert, though. There was like what, maybe 40, 50,000 people there, maybe? It was a shit ton of people. It definitely made me feel very nervous because there were so many people. Also, I don't know if I could handle that stuff anymore because, like, I was in mosh pits and shit back then. Honestly, granted, at least my knees are recovered from how they were injured at my job, but oh, I couldn't even imagine being in a mosh pit again. I think I would break something. I think I would have to go to the hospital after that. And then, of course, there's how loud everything is. I don't think... I mean, even then, it was physically and mentally exhausting. I mean, not just the social aspect of all the people. There's also the idea of it was so fucking loud, which I enjoyed back then, but I don't think it would... I don't think my ears would handle it anymore. And even in a lot of the lights that happened, I'm like... I just don't think my body would be up for it anymore. I think it would be too physically exhausting just being there and standing and doing that stuff. I think I'd probably be sick for a few days after that. It'd be overwhelming.
一緒に行く？
You want to come with me, Taku? Yeah, sounds like a date.
見られないかも。
You may not be able
限
to
られ
see
た
it.
人にしか
Supposedly
見えない
only
らしいんだ。
certain people can see it. Huh?
そうなんだ。
I see.
裸の王様みたいな
Like the
もの
Emperor's new
かな。
clothes, huh? Only smart people can see it?
じゃあ、私
Well,
バカだから
I'm an
見え
idiot,
ない
so
かも。
maybe I won't be able to see
なん
it.
てね。
Just kidding. I wasn't sure if she could see it or not. I didn't know how a real D-sword worked anyway. I was just going off what Ayase had said.
そんな剣、本当にあるのかな？やっぱり私、信じられないよ。
Does this sword really exist? I don't think I believe it.
タクが見たっていう岸本さんの剣も、本物っぽく見えるおもちゃじゃないの？
Are you sure that Kishimoto's sword isn't just a toy that looks really real?
でも光ったし。
It glowed.
おもちゃでも光るやつは
There are
いくらでも
toys
あ
that
る
glow,
よ。
you know. Well, I couldn't deny that. You could just add some lights and get a glowing effect. But the way Sana and Yase's swords had felt so real, powerful, I couldn't believe they were just toys. Plus, they pulled it out of thin air. They had an aura about them that a fake toy can never create. And more than that, Ayase had pulled the sword out of thin air. These aren't super speed or hypnosis or anything fake like that. What I had seen was a glimpse of an incredible power.
僕にはも
I
妄
think I
想
have-
を現実に投影する力があるかも。
So, are you my sword? Is the anime figurine that had the sword break when my sister or Yua came over? Because it wasn't until Yua broke that, where I think I fell over and I broke a anime figurine sword. So was that it? Was it the anime figurines? Are my anime figurines my Bankais? Are you my Bankai? I think I have the power to project my delusions into reality. I was far from certain myself, but I decided to share with Rimi the possibility that I've been thinking out loud.
だから将軍に、狙われてる気がす
And
る
I。think that's why Shogun's after me. There's no other reason for him to be coming after me, at least. There weren't many people out there as harmless as me. Most otaku are harmless. They're stuck in their own little worlds. I mean, that's a very true statement. If they had time to spend time bothering people in 3D world, they'd rather spend it having fun in their minds of 2D worlds. Again, that's true. Simply put, most otakus are completely harmless. And, yeah. Same thing with people that have certain mental illnesses. Like, if most people that would have just like borderline personality disorders type stuff are completely harmless and just, what are they going to do? Go to the store, buy some water and some 7-Up and go home. Watch anime, take a nap. I've been sleeping a lot more lately, which is good. If anything, I'm sleeping like a normal person, plus catching up on all the sleep deprivation. So, it's definitely been a long time coming, and that rest has definitely been very much earned. Because I was working myself to death, and I was only sleeping 3 hours a day. for years. So that couldn't have been good for my health.
昨日調べてた特許のこと？
You mean the patent you were looking at
タク
yesterday?
はあんな装置持ってるの？
Do you have a device that can do that stuff? I shook my head.
そうじゃなくて
That's not it.
装置とかなくても力使えるかも。
I think I might be able to use that power without the device.
タクからかってるんでしょ？
Taku, you're joking, right?
わかった。
Well, I get it.
何かの漫画かアニメ
This is
の
some
元ネタ？
manga or anime, right? Remy didn't believe me after all, but I had at least some reason to think it was true. The bus accident in elementary school. I explained that to her too. I might be a murderer. I worried that telling Remy might make her want to stay away from me. But I just couldn't keep it in anymore. I needed to share it with someone to get it off my chest. Remy seemed lost in thought as she listened to me stammer out an explanation, and when I was done,
考えすぎだよ。
you're overthinking things. True, I agree. She just laughed it away.
そう考えてることだって。
This is just a
タクの
delusion
妄
you're
想
having.
なんだよ。
Do you
わかってる？
understand that? Again, I can agree with that. Even if it were technically true, one, we were fourth grade. Two, we didn't know that would do that. Was I really overthinking it? I hoped so. But the weird feeling in the bottom of my heart just didn't go away. The office smelled like dust. It was on the second floor of an aging, mixed-use building. Light poured in from the huge window in the back, covered the whole wall, making the dust in the air look like powdered snow. The letters on... The letters on the window that read Trustworthiness, Investigation, Company, Frisia cast shadows on the desks beneath it. There were 20 desks in all, tightly crammed together. They were all piled high with folders and papers, in a way you might expect to see in a publishing office. Most of the desk occupants were out, with only 5 or 6 people there. But the reason wasn't because it was a Saturday. There was a schedule on the whiteboard next to an entrance, and it was packed tight with writing. Bond opened the agency's doors right at the end of the lunch break. He'd walked in without knocking, but none of the people there had said a word. He gave them a friendly hey there, as he headed straight for the desk furthest in the back, where a heavy-set woman was sitting at her laptop. Hey, Momo, how you doing? The woman he had called Momo was Katsuko Momoe, the president of Frisia. She had an annoyed look on her face and refused to even look up. Bon, you're back. I am indeed. Got anything? New gen? Sheesh. I'm a busy woman, you know that? I've got a lot of other jobs too. Small companies like us are so busy, we have to work weekends. You understand that? Only then did she look up at him. When she saw the grin on his face, she put her hand up to her forehead and shook her head slightly. We're not some kind of secret organization subsidiary of the police, you know. You're probably hoping you get some information free, but if you got time to come here, you got time to go find out the facts your own damn self. Stop wasting taxpayer money. Also, pay the fee. You're getting a list of open spots in our schedule for Mio. You're awful cold, Miss CEO. Momose's attitude seemed to have no effect whatsoever on Ben. He waved his fan indifferently. Did you forget who helped you even start this company? You're still bringing that up? How many years do you think you can say the same thing and still have it work? Ha ha ha. You're a harsh one. Alright, will this do for your fee? Ban offered her a plastic bag with the logo of a local confectionery shop on it. Oh, why didn't you say you brought me something? Thanks. As always. Mio, some tea for me and my guest. Mimosa's attitude changed completely. She called it to one of her employees and opened the bag to examine the goodies. Is that a type of donut? It's just the season for this. You always know exactly what to get. Come on, Ben. Don't stand. Sit down. Thanks. Ban chuckled as he pulled out a chair near my desk, and sat down next to Momose. A female secretary brought over the 2 paper cups filled with hot tea. So, any new news?
ちょっと待ちなさいって。
Give me a second to enjoy this first. Mose carefully peeled the wrapper off one of the bars and folded it up and set it off to the side of her computer. Then she popped open her mouth and tossed the first piece of chestnut yokon in. Mose was a woman who loved Japanese confections. Whenever he wanted to know something, Bon had to bring her some kind of treat. This is so good. I know I'm in no position to say this to anybody, but have you ever thought about going on a diet? If you don't lose some pounds, you're never going to get married. Huh. You really aren't in a position to say that to anybody. That ship sailed years ago. Mose shrugged and took a sip of her tea, then turned to Bon. There was another new gen murder, right? Shouldn't you be at work and not here? Don't worry. Everybody but me is working hard. I'm going after this from a different angle, you see? Listen to you showing off. You sound ridiculous. Bon decided to avoid the tea until it cooled down. He couldn't handle anything, food or drink, that was too hot. Understandable. The weather had turned cold, but he was still waving the fan at his face. It was a habit of his. Are the police looking into the GE rate? Yeah, that GE rate thing, that was incredible. It was just like you said. I'd never give you bad information. This is how I make my living. So, well, I'm looking into on my own. On your own? Bon! Mose's voice echoed throughout the course. She was always very forceful, and a loud one at that. The employees at Frisier were used to it, and none of them even raised an eyebrow at the noise. Not a day went by Mose wasn't yelling at somebody. Bon had known her for years too, and had been on the receiving end of her yelling dozens of times. Ironically, his reaction was to pick at his ears. Mose's tone quickly dropped. This wasn't something she wanted anyone to hear. But the smile on her face that had been there when she was eating the yokon a moment ago was now completely gone. It was replaced with a look of intense rage as she pointed her finger at his face. I told you it's dangerous to look into this on your own. Politicians, religions, companies. Do you know how many different groups are involved in this? You know what happened to Dr. Ohota when he talked about the GE rate on TV, right? Oh yeah, the guy who got crucified. I've heard that a bunch of times. And you'll hear it a bunch more. That's right, a whole bunch. You ignore my warnings, and I am the one who always has to clean up your messes. Come on, calm down. Have a sip of tea. Catch your breath. Mose's reaction was to go for a second piece of chestnut yokon, not the tea. It's fine. I've got Sua with me. This stuff about the G rate is too weird to get buy-in from the brass. Sua's good at his job, and he has a level head on his shoulders. But don't you dare make him do anything risky. Since when were you Sua's mom? I just feel bad for any promising youth who gets caught up in your crazy plans. Oh, you do you? Ben shrugged. He tried taking a sip of the tea, but it was still too hot. He winced in pain. Is it really possible for biorhythms to make somebody so crazy they'd kill, though? I explained this before, didn't I? I still don't really get it. Does it have something to do with these electromagnetic waves you love so much? Mimose sighed and drank her tea. Unlike Bon, it didn't seem to bother her. You know what happens with crime on the night of a full moon, right? Yeah, I guess. There were a lot of accidents and crimes on the night of the full moon. This wasn't an urban legend, it was something you could see for yourself, just by looking at Tokyo police statistics. What would happen if people's biorhythms were affected by something more powerful than the full moon? They'd get excited, right? Is that all?
渋谷は特殊な街だ。
Shibuya is a special town. I told you that, right?
G レートが高け
When
れ
the
ば
G rate goes up, it increases the biorhythm curve too.
しかもその上昇
And
値
the
は
effects it
満
has
月のよ
are
うに影響する
approximately
数値のおよそ
almost
6800
7,000 times greater than that of the night of the full moon.
想像しにくい。
That's a kind of hard number to imagine.
比べ物にならない
Just think of it as so much
すごいって
bigger
考え
that
て
you
もいいわ
can't even compare it.
しかし、
But
なんで
why
今
now?
なんだい？
殺された太田教授が言って
Before
い
he
たのは
died, Dr. Oda was
G
saying
レートが
it's
半年
because
前
the
か
G
ら急
rate's
に
been
増加してい
increasing
るせいっ
rapidly
てことね
for the past 6
地層
months.
の構造に
But that would
大
be
きな変化が
impossible
起きない
without
限り
some
そんなこと
major
はあり
change
え
in
な
the
いそうだ
makeup
け
of
ど
the ground beneath us.
変化。
A change? What are they like? What are is this Mimosa? I mean the organization with like the suit people. Are they like drilling tunnels underneath the city and making like a pentagram full of like magnets and amethyst and Geodude? Geodude. You just see Brock running down there with fucking onigiri that he calls a jelly donut. Change, huh? Yeah.
駅前の
You
ス
need
クランブ
enough
ル交差
energy
点
for a
で
volcano
火
to
山
blow
が
up
噴火
right
する
in
ほどの
front
エ
of
ネルギーが
Shibuya's
必要なの
scramble crossing.
火山？
A
そんなに
volcano?
大きな力なのか？
It's that powerful.
それくらい今の G レートは
That's how
ありえない
impossible
状
the
況なの
current
よ
G rate is.
それを世間に
And the
訴え
professor
ようと
tried to
した
tell the
教授は
world,
入場
only
で
to die during one of the New Gen murders.
事件の前日に
Did you know
教授が出演す
that
る
the
予
day
定だっ
before
た
the
テレビ
murder,
番組が
the TV
急
show
遽
he
放
was
送中
scheduled to
止に
go
なっ
on
た話知ってる
was suddenly canceled?
確かか？
You sure?
知り合いに
I
MHK
know
に勤めて
somebody
る人がいて
who works at MHK, they told me.
国営放送の番組に
There aren't a lot of places that could put that
放送の
pressure on a public broadcast program. Nozomi. It's called Nozomi.
私も詳細についてはわからないわ知ってた
I don't really know
と
the
っくに
details
告
myself.
発し
If
て
I
るだろう
did,
し
I would have told somebody by now. Bond leaned forward and seemingly interested.
俺でも大体予想
I can take a guess, but I want you to come out and
は
say
っきり
it
言っちゃってよ
plainly.
本気で聞きたい
You really want to hear this?
社会の暗部
You'll
に
be
踏み
stepping
込む
into
こと
some
になるわよ
the darkest corners of society. Are you sure?
パンちゃんクビになるかもし
You
れない
might get fired over this, Bond.
俺はニュ
Oh,
ージェネ事件の
all I care about
捕まえられりゃ
is
それで
catching
いい
the
んだ
new
よ
gen killer.
まどう
Well,
するか
I guess I'll figure out
考え
what to do once I hear what you have to say. Mimose sipped her tea, using her left hand to type into the laptop. A document appeared on the LCD monitor. It contained a list of information she researched on her own.
名和と
The Iowa Party? Was that a political party? Give me a break, Momo.
勘弁してくれ
I was thinking you were going
俺はてっきり野党の名前が出てく
give
る
me a
の
name
が
of
分
a
かってたんだけど
political party that wasn't in power,
何よって
but not. Ban gave a soft, annoyed moan. But his eyes weren't laughing at all. They were filled with the sharp insight of a detective.
下手したら
This
この国
could
が
shape
揺
the
らぐ
whole
ぜ
country. So, this is like saying the major political party of the country is corrupt. Then again, that's like, aren't all politicians corrupt? I couldn't really ask Remy to come over to the base over the weekend, so I spent 2 days alone and afraid. On Friday, Remy had brought me enough food that I was able to spend the weekend entirely indoors. But I was still afraid enough on several occasions I almost sent her an email asking her to come over. In the end, I didn't though. The only time I was released from my fear was 30 minutes or an hour. I was watching the latest episode of Bloodtoon. Even with all that happening, I refused to give up on Bloodtoon. If Remy was a pillar of my support in 3D world, then my 2D support was Bloodtoon, or more specifically, Saratan. Who definitely looks like Remy. And the voicemail thing and also sounds like her. We even had Remy hold a fucking body pillow. I mean, granted, we, the viewer, didn't get to see it. But we are very much obsessed with this character above all others. Well, we have a body pillow of her, and she was literally holding the body pillow. Then Monday, after I survived the weekend, I looked at the Phantasm community on Free Prara and saw that something was going on. I quickly clicked on the link and sent to the channel. The place was in uproar. Okay, what's happening? The real name Fent is Kishimoto. Oh god. She spent time in a mental institution when she was a kid. The hospital's name is AHM. Isn't that the place I was at? Anonymous Prophet. Why would that... Okay. You're lying. Fess was never in a mental hospital. You should say it for slander. Again, why is that slander? Like, why would that be bad? I mean, it was even as she was a child. And again, okay, she has a real-world identity. Again, why would that be bad? How mistake? Fess Hospital had to do mental issues. Hospital put out a newsletter, poems, essays, informations. See a bunch of posts wrote it. You can see the official site. Her name was Ayase Kishimoto. Here's the other thing, though. Why would that matter? This would be like, you know, Serge Tonkian or Jonathan Davis or David Draymond. Like, it would be like the lead singer of a band saying, "Oh no, the lead singer of a band was in a mental institution as a child." Why would that affect them negatively in any way? It'd be like saying, heck, even if a modern band was like recently getting, like, if say a musician was put in a mental institution for a little bit, even like right now, I don't think that would hurt his sales. Arkart Medical Group. I thought you guys were in love with her. If you were out with me then, I guess. But what? It's real? Yes, yes, yes. Fuel in the fire, there's a goddamn photo law. So it's fantastic. I really liked this in a sexual way. Okay, that was kind of odd to put it like that. What is occurring? It's supposed to be expression of Great Will's guidance too, right? Those lyrics aren't phantom, are they? When watching you as me, I guess. Fez, please don't quit. Here, okay. I don't get it. Every genie is supposed to be a little crazy, right? Fez is gonna break it. I know it. Oh, Black Mass tonight. Okay. Again, why would... You guys may have to finish though, honestly. I think it's a better ending for them than seeing the major labels selling out. Again, why would that end a band? I mean, that should have no effect on her ability to be a musician, even if she was currently even re-put into one. I mean, yeah, that should have no effect. The Achan virgins can bitch online all they want. It won't change anything. Fest doesn't look at the past, only the future. The prophecy of the death of the losers. Person aside, Fest, desperate to keep your band running. We all knew Fest was crazy, but who cares? Fest had mental problems, huh? Honestly, I think that just makes it hotter. Calm down, guys. It's just one big troll with Fest hand. I bet Fest went crazy because the world is filled with evil that power awakened her punk soul. Her aggressive, intense lyrics are a cry for her soul, which has ascended to a higher dimension. If anything, we should be grateful to her 12 for giving us deeper, greater understanding. The official site is down. I went to the URL 12 posted. Okay. Arkart Medical, long psychiatric facility, treated most severe patients. Okay. There was a picture of hospital on the site. It showed some bars in the windows. It looked like an old prison. I wasn't sure if it even existed anymore. The homepage had been updated for almost 4 years. But just like Achan said, the site pictured a woman, Ayase Kishimoto, alongside the poem she had written.
綾瀬が精神病
Well, yeah, but again, 1, she was a child. 2, that was a long time ago. 3, I mean, probably shouldn't stigmatize the thing. I mean, if somebody has a mental health condition, you know, it'd be important and it's better for them to get assistance and help. So why would you shame that? The body lurks in the shadow of wicked soul, wicked heart, a thing which cannot be seen. I try to get away from it, but this unending nightmare, what shall someday become a blade and slash apart my body? A shield of indifference helps the people avoid the flames of war. The enemy of this newborn battlefield can live in the heart. Evil can sometimes have a will of its own and manifest in our world. Well, that's a very good poem. There's nothing wrong with that. I wasn't really shocked or anything. I'd gone to a mental hospital when I was in elementary school, too. If anything, it made me feel a little closer to her. She was just like me. Despite all her popularity, despite all her charisma, she was just like me. If anyone out there is just like me, you probably should just see a doctor. Having this in common made the idea that I had the same power she did, the power to project delusions into reality, feel more likely. It gave me courage and hope. But there was one problem. Until now, I'd blindly believed everything she said. But maybe that was a mistake? What she said about me, how to get the D-sword, even the fact that getting a D-sword would have saved me. I started to doubt, not what she showed me, but what she told me. Should I believe it, or... I stared in front of my phone and something rang. Phones always love to surprise you when you're least expecting it. That's why I hated them. I sighed and picked it up. It was probably Nanami. She was probably calling to complain about something again. What a nuisance. I hit the accept call button and picked up my ear without bothering to look at the number. Why did I do that? Why was the one call where I didn't look at the number first? Fuck! Well, we're fucked. This would probably give me a legitimate fucking heart attack. The melody coming out of the phone was impossible at volume. Was Turyanse. I quickly looked at the number of the phone to LCD blade. It was the same number. The number that's not supposed to exist anymore. But how? I thought it wasn't in service anymore. I had Nanami call it, and there had been a message saying so. Had the person behind this prank brought it back online? What do I do? I looked around my room. If Rima was here, she could give me some advice. But she wasn't. Of course not. Rimi was at school right now. I told her I wasn't going today, and she hadn't come to wake me up. The melody kept playing as I sat there freaking out. A whole minute had passed. When I had it up to my ear a moment ago, I could hear faint sounds of the Turianse. The sounds of people walking, car engines, so it had to be outside. Who was playing on their phone? I could only think of one person who'd pull a prank like this. Shogun. I turned to Sarah Tan, who was standing next to my PC monitor, for help.
どうしたらいいと思うセーラ
What do you think I should do, Sarah? Sarah Tan smiled the way she always did.
切っちゃえばいいさ。無視無視。
Just hang up. Ignore it. Honestly, that's actually sound advice.
そっか
Yeah,
そうだよね
that's right.
その手があった
I can do that. I should have done that from the start. I put my thumb to the end call button, but for some reason, I decided to listen to the melody just a little bit more before I hung up. It felt so strange. I wanted to hang up right now, but almost unconsciously, I put the hand with the phone up to my ear. Well, I'm sure this won't end poorly at all. Are we gonna die? Do we get bad end? Are we dying? Why did we white out? It came in a flood from the receiver. An incredible pain. A violent sound like a supersonic wave. The sound infected my body. My head felt like an impact, like it had been struck by lightning. My whole body froze. I screamed, but I couldn't even hear my own voice. I boiled over. My brain. My heart. They boiled and bubbled over to start to melt. The pain tore through my body, ripping through my flesh. My mind turned to liquid and raced through my body, converging my heart and exploding into a fine mist. It felt horrible, crazy. I couldn't even think about what had just happened to me. Okay. When Yua Kusunoki opened her eyes, she could see that all hell had broken loose in Class 3B, her class. Several of the students were lying on the ground, their eyes rolled back into their heads. They were foaming at the mouth, spasming and jerking? Okay. Several of the others were curled into little balls, clutching their heads in pain. The rest were standing up, one after another, leaving the room, even after it was middle class. The teacher was too busy helping the ones who were having seizures to stop them. The students in the hallway were all yelling in shock, but Yua didn't hear what they were saying. Her phone had been going off inside her skirt pocket. She had finally realized it was buzzing and slowly reached a hand toward it. She tried to stand up, but she staggered and fell from the chair. She crouched and leaned up against the wall. After putting her glasses back up against her face, she pushed the answer call button on the phone to her ear.
はい。
Hello?
あ、
Yes. Huh?
は
Okay.
あ。はい。
Yes.
一応
Oh,
大丈夫です。
I'm okay. She once after she said that, she put the hand to her forehead. She could hear her voice in her classmates talking noisily outside, and her teacher shouting at the fallen students to wake up, while all of them seemed to be happening far away.
はい。
I'm sorry?
え、
Yes?
あなたは、
Who are you?
はい。
Yes, yes. I see,
そうで
and...
す。え、
Huh? Her face suddenly turned pale as she gulped. She covered the phone with her hand and dropped her voice low. It was clear from her tone that whatever she'd heard had rattled her? Okay?
そんな
That's
わけないんです。
impossible? Because
本当は、
it was... She stopped and let her hood droop.
本当は、
It was
だったのに。
actually me. I don't know what's happening. The noise outside grew louder. Everyone was looking in the same direction, pointing fingers with fearful expressions on their faces. The windows in the hallways were rattling like they'd been hit by a gust of wind. What, did a nuke explode outside? Yes, yes, sob.
そうです。
Yes, my
私の妹です。
younger sister.
はい。
Yes,
わかりました。
understood. She bowed weakly as if the person she talked to was right in front of her and hung up the phone. Then she looked up toward the direction everyone was pointing.
空が。
The sky. It's a sky. It was like someone had poured white paint on a pool of water's surface. The muddied blue sky was turning white. It was spreading at incredible speed. It was devouring
白
the
く
sky.
染まっていく。
It's turning white. Okay. Bond was finally released from the long task force meeting and should have felt much better, but today things were different. He walked away from the other detectives toward the windowsill where he called his junior partner. Sua hadn't shown up for the meeting today. Bond had wanted to skip it too, so it didn't seem fair if Sua got to. Sua might not look like it, but he took his work extremely seriously. At least that's what Bond had thought, so he was surprised when Sua had skipped today. He tried to get a hold of him several times. Is Sua dead? And there had been no answer. Ever since Bond had talked to Mosley 2 days ago, he had a bad feeling that wouldn't go away. And things had gone worse today. Not only was Sua missing, but he brought up the G rate. During the meeting, Matsunaga told him he was being ridiculous and needed to stop wasting everyone's time. Please don't let anything else happen. Ban sighed a little when he fanned his face. He heard the call being picked up, and Sua answered. Is that you?
バカ野郎
You idiot.
どこを突き歩いてやがる
Where the hell are you? The connection was really bad. Ban wondered if Sua had gone off somewhere deep in the countryside. Sorry. Ask now, my own... What?
なんだって
What did you say?
今どこだ
Where are you? Ban yelled. He stopped being able to hear Sue at all, and instead there were small periods of nothing but static. Well, can you hear me now?
ああ
Yeah?
それでお前一体どこに
So where the hell are you? I thought of something, so I'm out doing some questioning.
お前な
Listen to me. Sua shouldn't have been going off on his own. But Ban had a nasty habit of doing just that. He chuckled. Maybe his bad habits had rubbed off on his junior partner. I think I've almost got it. Incontrovertible proof of the real New Gen killer's identity.
真犯人
The real killer? Ban's eyes went wide. I'm keeping it a secret for now. I might be wrong after all.
とにかく
Just get your ass back here. Got it? No. I'm gonna look around a little more.
あ
What? Hey, get back here. I'm fine. Leave it to me.
あ
Sua. Sua! Snake! What, are we having an earthquake? Is a fucking volcano going off? Suddenly the ground started to shake. Is there a volcano? An earthquake? The shaking got more and more violent, but Bond couldn't even stay standing. He dropped to a crouch and started falling over. This is a big one. At first, the other detectives seemed unconcerned, but they soon realized the seriousness of the situation and began to crouch or hide under the tables. Okay. The clock on the wall, the pens and the paper, and the cups on the table, projector device, and one after another they fell to the floor with a crash. The two whiteboards in the conference room fell too. It was like a passenger jet that ran into a stream of turbulence. That's how it felt to Bond, like his legs weren't even touching the ground. The shaking was spinning his body left to right. It was probably a 5 or 6 in intensity. Is this the next big one? And now of all times? And then Ben felt a strong shock like someone punched him in the head. He moaned in pain. No one had physically punched him. It was just an incredible headache. Suddenly, a scream filled the conference room. Ben gritted his teeth and looked up, and saw one local detective had his hands pressed against his head, trembling with pain. Then he fell helplessly to the ground like a doll, dropped like a child. Most of the other detectives were either wincing in pain, hands against the table, or holding their heads. What was his headache? He had never felt anything like it before. Are we experiencing what Nishijo's feeling? Like, did everyone in the world start feeling his headache? Did it have something to do with the earthquake? Ben had no way of knowing. So did Nishijo having a fucking migraine-induced thing cause a fucking massive earthquake and everyone having seizures? I mean, technically we hinted at that start of the game. We're like, hey, what if other people felt what I felt? Little by little, the shaking stopped, but Bond looked outside, vision blurry. There was white light everywhere. It was so bright, Bond couldn't keep his eyes open. Nishijo! Ah, our computer. No. Our only source of social interaction. I opened my eyes, feeling a pain so strong I thought my head would burst. I realized I'd fallen backwards in the middle of the room. I tried to get back up, but I did. The pain. We are on top of a goddamn skyscraper during a fucking earthquake. The pain in my head spread throughout the rest of my body. I moaned in agony. After 5 minutes or so of writhing on the floor, my pain gradually subsided. I managed to use the bedpost as support to climb back up. I wiped away the thick sweat on my brow. My room looked like it had been hit by a tornado. All of my wives were either toppled over or fallen off the shelf entirely. The bed was now tilted, and my manga and H games had fallen off of it and scattered on the floor. Well, I guess it's a good thing we didn't bother cleaning up the first place. What had just happened? I picked up my phone and then heard the turn-your-house, and then it started with the sound of ambulance siren. Is my phone still flipped open? That's right. There had been that buzzer sound and the low sound of the earth rumbling, and then it felt like my whole body boiled and melted. I didn't remember anything that happened after that. My mind was a total blank. Was this some kind of electromagnetic wave attack by Shogun? Maybe Shogun could do the same thing that the system I read about in the patent. The idea terrified me. I looked up at the ceiling, still receiving my headache, of course. There was nothing to see. If my mind was being read, it was being read by a satellite high above me. Nah, there's no way. But from what Senna said before, it sounded like the system in the patent was already in use, and some people were using it for evil. If one of those people was Shogun, no, that was impossible. There was no way that could be true. That frail old man looks like he could die at any moment. There's no way he could have his own orbital satellite, or was he at the center of some big government project? Kind of reminds you of the Akira anime. There was no point staring at a delusion and scaring myself to death with it. It was clear something had happened, so I decided to look online to find out what. I crawled toward the computer, trying my best to ignore the pain in my head. I was sure I'd let my computer on. It should have been displaying serotonin screen, but instead, the screen was like, we probably lost power. I had set it to go standby mode automatically, so that shouldn't happen yet, but my mind was still fogging, my whole body felt frail and weak. It took all my strength just to stand up. I grit my teeth to help in pain and tried to move the mouse. Nothing. Next, I tried a power button. Hard disk started to whir and click. Okay, so we had a power surge. So that would have temporarily knocked off the computer. I slumped into my chair with thud while I waited for my computer to boot up. Is there a chance we were unconscious for hours? Possibly days? How long were we knocked out? Like, I initially assumed like a minute or two, but maybe 5 minutes? I think I even said 5 minutes, but maybe I was mistaken on that. I reached out a desperate hand for the phone, which was still lying on the table. Looked at the time. Huh?
13時
1 p.m.? What time had been when I got the call? I remembered I was looking at the information. I asked Chan. Tried to think, and the pain just got worse. What time? Think, remember. That's right. Wasn't even noon yet. So it's been like 2 hours, which meant
1時間以上も
I was out
気絶して
for
た
over an hour? Or had I been sleepwalking and been off wandering somewhere the past hour?
僕は
I
の
don't
有病じゃない
sleepwalk. I shook my head before my brain could fill itself more negative thoughts. When I did, the aching in my head made me feel like I would pass out. It was like my brain had been replaced by a lump of lead. I looked over the PC monitor. Fuck.
おいマジで
Wait, really? Could it be my hard disk was damaged? No, it can't be.
そんなの
This
ありえ
can't be
ない
happening.
あっちゃダメだそんなことになっ
It's the
た
end
ら
of the world.
全てが終わる
My gigabytes of saved XXX Moe porn. My saved data for my H games. My bookmarks for my daily browsing. My schedule that told me when to go to school. And more than anything, the most important thing in the world to me. My ESO save data. Shouldn't that be online in a fucking cloud? Was it all gone? Damn it. I wanted to scream in rage. I wanted to pound my fists in the keyboard. I wanted to kick in the walls. And more than anything, I wanted to see if it could be recovered right this very instant. But my whole body was still very heavy and slow. My head was still ached. All I could do was lie back in the chair and bite my lip and slowly recover my HP. It was over. My life was over. The loss of ESO save data meant my life no longer had any meaning. Nothing mattered anymore. My life was nothing but ash and dust. Somebody just kill me.
待ってタッキー
Wait, Taki. Sarah looked up from where she was lying, sideways on my desk, and gave me an angelic smile.
冷静になりなよ
Calm
みた
down.
いなオンラインのゲームって
ESO is an
セー
online
ブデー
game.
タは全部サーバーに保存されてるんじゃない
They keep all the save data on the server, don't they? Yeah, that's what I was saying. The cloud. Server, she mean the game's company server?
だからたとえタッキーの PC が壊れてもナイトハルトッチのデータは消えてないはずっしょ
So even if your PC breaks, Nightheart's data should still be there, right? Oh, right. This was something every gamer knew, but I was so out of it that I'd forgotten. I felt like I had one small sliver of hope amidst all the despair. Way to go, my wife. I hadn't made any backups of my pics or MP3s, so I'd have to give up on those. It wasn't ideal, but I didn't have a choice. I still wanted to restart reformatting my computer as soon as possible. I needed to see if my ESO data was safe with my own eyes. Of course, for that, I need this headache to go away. The pain didn't feel like it was going away anytime soon. Shibuya earthquake, magnitude at least 5. 200 casualties! The big television out of Shibuya played commercials, promos, music artists. They were showing stern-looking newscaster. TV show following the top of the screen. Intensity 5 earthquake hit Shibuya, at least 200 casualties. Earthquakes were nothing special in Japan. There have been several earthquakes around 5 on scale even around Tokyo. But as more information started coming out, it became more apparent that the number of casualties was abnormally high. There was a similar earthquake in 2005, and not a single person died. Compared to that, this was almost unbelievable. This was even more true when you consider that it happened in Shibuya, the center of the New Gen murders. There had been an earthquake 3 months ago in Shibuya, too. That one had only been a 3 on the scale, but 8 people had died. Was Shibuya cursed? Probably. Many of the people who saw the first reports of the quake thought that, even if they didn't say it. But either way, the first special broadcasts about the earthquake were ready to go almost as soon as it started. Right now, there wasn't a lot of solid information or clear numbers, but the female newscaster was reading out a script. The Fire and Disaster Management Agency has confirmed at least 31 deaths and expecting the number to grow even higher. They said 200 of the casualties, not deaths. The cause of the deaths is currently unknown. There was also reports of mysterious white light in Shibuya after After the earthquake, a shockwave and the sky turning white. The cameras at Shibuya Scramble Crossing had seen the light, and the big TVs were showing the footage that they had taken where everything had turned white just after the quake. The white had appeared just as the earthquake did, and at first it was less of a white and more of an incredibly intense light. The light covered Shibuya in an instant, and was so bright that no one could keep their eyes open. Anyone from the generation that lived through the last war would immediately thought it was a nuclear weapon. In fact, there were those who had seen the white mushroom cloud rising hundreds of meters in the sky above Shibuya, but it had dissipated almost instantly. What that light was, what caused it, what had been to do with the earthquake, for some reason, total mysteries. The strangest thing was that the white sky had gone back to normal within an hour, and so it was only like that while I was unconscious, in my seizure thing. And once more a murky blue color lay above the heads of the people of Shibuya. There was a tiny crack, just a few millimeters in the asphalt, around Danganzaka Hill. There were also a few small cracks in the walls of the mixed-use buildings around the center street. Well, looks like we fixed everything. My headache hadn't gone away. It took around 2 hours to reformat the hard drive. I'd almost passed out several times from the pain. I'd gone to sleep in the middle of something before, but this was my first time really passing out from something. Still, the pain was a lot better than it was 2 hours ago. I drank some soda to quench my thirst and steeled myself to get to work. I put my bed back where it was, giving myself a place to stand on the floor. It was hard to consider how weak I was, but if it didn't clean up, I wouldn't even be able to leave the place. If I was trapped inside it, I would escape during Shogun's next attack. Not that I knew if the earthquake was his doing. I'd be doomed. I needed a way to get out. When the OS was finally back, I headed over my computer and installed ESO. I tried logging into the baseline.
やった
Yes. Hooray. Nightheart is still there. He's still alive.
装備とかも全部無
His
事だ
equipment and everything are all safe. Yes, yes. I was so excited that I tried to stand up and raise my fist in the air, but I was too exhausted. Still, I was so happy to see that such an important part of me hadn't disappeared after all. Now then, with that done, it was time to see what had actually happened. Personally, I wanted an apology and compensation from whoever was responsible. It felt like an earthquake, but there was so many things that didn't make sense. I looked to see if Grimm was playing, but he wasn't. He's probably dead. Went to our usual chat board, though. It was harder with my bookmarks gone. He wasn't there, either. What good was he if he wasn't there when I needed him? He's probably dead. I ended up checking the top page of Tabu instead. The article read Shibuya casualties over 200. 300 injured. Kanto region. Earthquake from the look of it. 5 in the scale. Awful lot of casualties, though. Suppose the number was likely to go in higher than 200. There was other stuff, too, about how the sky above Shibuya temporarily turned white, or a big mushroom cloud above the city, but nobody seemed sure what that had to do with the earthquake. Adchamp was talking about, too. Most comments were things like, Shibuya again? Or Shibuya screwed. There were videos uploaded, too, and I could see the cameras and Scramble had
こ
recorded.
れ
This
地震だけじゃない
isn't just an
よね
earthquake, is it? I felt an incredible headache when the quake hit. No, it was way worse than just a headache. It felt like my brain was boiling over. And even 2 hours later, there was still aching pain, and I still felt
電子レン
exhausted.
ジに閉じ込め
Maybe
られ
that's
た
what happens
あん
if
な
somebody
風にな
stuck
る
you
か
in a
もしれない
microwave. If that was the case, maybe my ideas about this being some kind of electromagnetic wave attack from Shogun weren't just delusions. Hello? Ah, chat room. Probably Shogun, though. I heard a noise, like, oh, Grimm's here. And it's, nope, it's Shogun. Damn it! Like I killed Grimm. No, I ate him. Fuck. I'm drinking a Pepsi. Ah. Thought I heard a noise and recognized it was the sound of somebody joining the chat room. It might have been Grimm. I turned my eyes toward the chat window to ask him for details. Shogun! Hi, Shogun. A scream slipped from my lips. Why would he show up now? Had he been reading my thoughts, after all? My hand was shaking on my mouse. The rest of my body was frozen with fear. Even the pain in my head was gone. I didn't even want to look at the word Shogun, but I couldn't take my eyes off the monitor. I wanted to leave the chat room, but it was like my mind had left my body. I couldn't even move the mouse. I felt the prickling onto my neck, and I was being watched again. It was the gaze of God. Or maybe it wasn't God, but Shogun looking at me from satellite orbit. I wanted to run away. But where? He could find me anywhere in Japan. Hey, it's been a while. Howdy, I'm Flowey. Flowey the flower. That was the first thing he said. He was talking like he was greeting an old friend. But I never remembered being his friend. I bit my lip and stared at the characters on the screen. But after he spoke, I found myself able to move again. I grabbed my phone. It was just past 3 o'clock. She might still be in class, but Remy might be able to help me, believing that was my only chance. I called Remy's number. It was easy to find because it was only a few of my contacts.
助けてリミ
Save me, Remy. The number is no longer in service. Do you hate me?
リミ早く出て
Remy, please pick up. It hurt to breathe. I couldn't think. It'd be nice if I could see a time somewhere in this thing, like for the computer. Because I saw Shogun typed a thing. I mean, did time move? Remy wasn't picking up the phone. The phone's ringing and ringing. Why? Don't you always show up when I'm in trouble? Why aren't you here now? I'm sending you a present? Is it Remy being dead? A present? Well, I'm concerned. You're sending me another one of those pictures. And this time you're going to make me out to be the new gen killer, aren't you? No, I'm not the killer. Huh. Gaspy noises. I felt like a fish that had flopped onto land. It wasn't getting enough oxygen. My head felt like it was full of fuzz. Yeah, you're going into shock. You need to get more. I'd say to sip some water, man. My only hope was Remy. I gripped the phone tighter, praying and focusing on every sound that came out of the receiver. It picked up.
助けて
Help me.
留守番電話サービスにおつなぎします。
Voicemail. Okay, the person you're calling is not available. I hope you like it. Oh no. Voicemail. So, what did you send me, Shogun? Is a picture of Remy being dead? I hung up the phone, disappointed, and wrapped my arms around myself to keep myself steady. My body had started to shake. I was more afraid of Shogun than I thought I was. Of course I was. He was pretending to be disabled, but he was a murderer who'd killed 5 times, and I was his next target.
助けてよ
Please help me. Okay, what's your present, Shogun? Till now, Remy would always appear at just the right time, but she hadn't picked up the phone. My eyes fell on the fake D-sword in the corner room. She, there was an earthquake, so things. Picked it up, clinging to the small hope that it might somehow help. It was just a toy. Ase had said so, and she had been so sure. But maybe she was wrong. At least I wanted to hope so. If I had a D-sword, I'd be saved. I could even defeat Shogun's attacks. So please, I raised the D-sword and focused on the cutting edge of the blade. Please be real. Save me.
ディソード真の
D-sword.
姿を表せ
Show your true form! I closed my eyes tight and gripped the pommel hand. Silence. I opened my eyes a little. Nothing had changed. It was just a toy. Damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. Useless piece of shit. I slammed the toy sword to the ground and began to pace around the room. I bit my nails trying to figure out what to do, but the fear threatened to crush me and I couldn't think. Whenever I tried, the pain in my head would come back. There was nothing left to do but go back to the PSE. Shogun left the room. Current members 1. Shogun had already left the chat. The only trace of him were the 4 lines he had left. Okay, is it dead Grim? Is Grim dead and you're mailing him to me via UPS? You FedEx him to me? Just use the local postal service? I didn't want to see the words he'd written, so I quickly left the chat myself. I was still shaking. Shogun was taunting me. What was so fun about stalking me like this? Did this mean I've been chosen as the next victim? Shogun was finally ready to put the plan into action? Or was that a perfect patsy to take the fall for his
誰
murders?
か助けて
Somebody, save me.
助けて
Save
よ
me. I looked to the post-awakening Sarutan, pleading for her to save me.
一人は怖いんだ
I'm scared to be alone. I didn't want to be alone. I wanted somebody to be by my side. I wanted somebody to protect me.
そうだ
That's right.
学校だ
School.
学校へ行けば
If I go to school, Remy was there. I couldn't handle being alone and scared anymore. I stripped off the sweatshirt I wore, was at home, and quickly changed the uniform. But school is over now. It's 3 in the afternoon, man. Nobody's going to be there. The cold wind outside made my headache feel a little bit better. Shibuya seemed more tense than usual. Maybe it was the earthquake? I think? I could hear the sounds of sirens in the distance. When one stopped, others started. I couldn't tell if they were fire trucks or ambulances, probably both. Yamate Street, just one street over from where I was walking, was at the standstill. Several cars had been in head-on collision and abandoned where they sat. There was no sign of the drivers. The abandoned cars were blocking the road and causing traffic jam. The other drivers were furiously banging on their horns. As I slowly and unsteadily walked toward the school, a dog ran past me howling. It was a chihuahua with bloodshot eyes. Its tiny body was running at full speed, dragging a leash behind it. Drool was pouring from its mouth. Had it gotten separated from its owner? As I watched distractedly, I stumbled over something and almost fell. There was a crack on the ground. That's what I'd almost tripped on. Did the earthquake cause it? I stopped and looked up at the sky. There were several clouds now lazily traveling through the muddy blue sky. Supposedly the sky had gone white like an aurora right after the quake, but there were no traces left of that now. This wasn't the Shibuya I knew. I felt really tense and uneasy. It wasn't just the earthquake, it wasn't just the headache. It wasn't just those things. It felt like a terrible urge was going to overcome me at any second. Walking down the street for some reason made me want to kill someone. By the time I reached the school gate, the terror and fear within me had gotten even stronger. I felt so cold my body wouldn't stop shaking. My head had come back. I could see a crowd near the third-year students' building. I looked for Rimi there. Strangely, they were all looking up at the school building.
Oh,
Hey,
Taku!
Taku! Misumi ran up to me. Good, I could ask him where Rimi was.
お前
I didn't realize you'd come to school today.
いや
No,
そんな
I guess that
今
doesn't
どうでも
matter
いいから
now. He looked pale and his expression was deadly serious. It was rare to see Misumi so badly shaken. What had happened? It's bad, man.
やばいよな
It's really bad. Bad? What was bad?
病気だったんだろ
She was sick, right? Ayase! Is she about to fucking jump?
精神病のことがバレて余計におかしくなっちゃったらしい
I heard they found out about her mental illness, and she went even crazier.
さっき飛べるとか言ってたぜやべえよ
She
やば
was
す
saying
ぎ
she
る
could fly. Just crazy. Crazy. Dude. This is not the time to be laughing about that. Like, it'd be one thing if she's like, I can fly, guys, and we're in the fucking cafeteria. But given the context of this, she is on a fucking roof. I hope she can
そう
fly.
いうとこマジで見てんだけど
What? I'd love to see somebody die.
人黒すぎて最高だぜ
I'm sure it's disgusting and totally awesome. Dude!
早く落ちてこねえかな
Hope she falls soon? Okay, one, that's bad enough if you didn't even fucking know who it is. But, dude, I don't think we can be friends anymore. Even if you're in my imagination. I can hear voices around me saying those things. Could it be... A terrible thought ran through my mind. I looked up slowly to see where the rest of the students were looking. I mean, I at least see the sword. The edge of the roof. It was a girl. She was holding the D-sword just like she had in her concert. She was standing there like she was offering a prayer to God in heaven. It was Ayase Kishimoto. Okay. If you jump, I sincerely hope you can fly.
その
Okay.
体は
It lurks in the
写真
shadow
の
of a
影
wicked
の
heart.
嘘目には映ら
A
ない
thing
存
which
在
cannot be seen. Ayase Kishimoto was feeling the wind on her body. It was cold with just a slight hint of winter. Her expression was pain and beads of sweat were dripping from her cheeks.
慣れようとも
I try and try to get away from it.
冷めぬ悪夢
This unending nightmare. Sumi's academy roof was surrounded by an almost 2-meter high fence. She was standing in the narrow 30-centimeter space on the outside of it. She had been there for almost 10 minutes. One more step, she'd fall off the roof, off forced ability. Yeah, I don't think there's any, like, honestly, if I were to stand underneath her and try to catch her, she would probably hit me with enough force to turn us both into spaghetti. Below her was a crowd of students watching with bated breaths. I mean, yeah, I don't know if there's really anything we can do at this point other than just I could try to climb the stairs really fucking fast and try to talk her down. Below her was a crowd of students watching with bated breath. Why do they want her? I understand everyone's got slight insanity, but still. Shall someday become a blade
切り裂くのだろ
and slash apart my body. They'd called for police and ambulance, but perhaps because of the earthquake a few hours ago, no one had arrived yet. The teachers were running around trying to get to the mats ready if the worst
う。
happened. Would that be enough?
名の立て
A shield of indifference
戦火を免れ
helps the
てい
people
た人
avoid the flames of war. But Iyase stood tall and still, like the chaos below had nothing to do with her. If anything, it looked like she was deliberately cutting herself off from the world below. Her head was tilted up at the sky, and her eyes were closed. She looked almost like a young priestess, praying to her god. Her body was completely motionless in the slight wind on the roof. An impressive feat of balance, considering the sword she was carrying was almost her own
神
height.
聖なる戦場
The enemy of this newborn battlefield
心
is
の内の
the wicked one within the heart. The sword, her D-sword, was flashing from a pale light, like it was having trouble breathing. Ayase's own breath seemed to be in sync with the light. Her own breathing was pain. She let out a small, soft
悪
whimper.
意は
Evil
時
can sometimes have a will of its own
々意志そして
and
その
manifest
姿
in our world.
を表す
The words she whispered were quickly drowned out by the wind. Ayase opened her eyes, turning toward the amber-red sky above the Shibuya
この
high-rises.
世界は
This world is
悪意の
filled
妄想
with
に
evil
満ち溢れてい
delusions.
るみんな他人の
Everyone loves the misery of others.
目を閉じて
I close my eyes. I put my hands over my ears. But it doesn't help.
昔からずっと
They won't leave me alone.
私のそばを
They
離れ
never
てくれ
have.
ないわ
As she whispered, she brought the huge sword to her chest. She embraced it with both arms. Don't impale yourself. Strangely, the sharp-looking blade didn't pierce her skin at all.
帰りたかった
I wanted to go
大い
home
なる意志が住む
to the other world where the
もう
great
一
well
つの
lives.
世界にそのために
For that,
心
I
を切り
accepted
刻んで
everything and ripped
全
apart
部
my
受け入
heart.
れたわ混沌の器
The
として
dream of being a vessel of chaos. Ayase's expression twisted with sadness. Tears suddenly fell from her eyes. The wind blew them off her face and into the
だけ
sky.
ど
But
グラジオの
Gladiel is
空洞
stirring within the womb.
活発化しもう
There's
時間
no
がないわ
time left,
つからない
but I can't find them. I can't find them at all.
天国の扉も
The door to heaven,
賢者も
the sage, the guide,
導き手も
the seven divine punishments.
夏の黒騎士の伝説は
Is the legend of the Black Knights true?
歌はもうた
I've
くさん
sung so
歌った
many
わ
songs.
それで足りない
If that's
って言う
not enough,
ね
then, O great will,
大い
I
な
will
る
tell
意
you
志
what I shall do. Ayase slowly spread out her arms, as if she was trying to embrace the sky, as if showing herself to some god high in his heaven.
私は
I shall fly. The sword's... I really hope you can. The sword's pale pulsation grew in intensity. Ayase closed her eyes again. A final tear fell from the corner of her
お願い
eyes.
この器は
Please, I offer you this vessel.
魂を
So,
連れて
take my soul. And the girl stepped forward without the slightest hesitation. There was nothing left there to support her body.
帰るべき場所へ
Take it to where it belongs. Okay. She felt the cold wind blow against her cheeks. She looked down beneath her. That's gonna hurt. Or not. And saw a floating door rising toward her. Beyond it was the sky she sought. All I could do was watch helplessly. Ayase spread out her hands, then slowly stepped off the roof, like there was an invisible staircase there. Screams and loud murmurs rose from the crowds of gawkers. No longer supported by anything, she fell like a puppet with its strings cut. Everything was happening in slow motion. Ayase's body fell. It fell so slowly, but there was no stopping it. She was going to die. Ayase was going to die. There was no way I could help her. If she fell from that height, she'd die for sure. The ground below her was solid concrete. Her bones would shatter, her organs would be smashed, her brains and dark red blood would be splashed all over the place. If there was at least a flower bed there, if there was at least a soft earth instead of concrete, then maybe she'd survive. I didn't want to see anyone die. I tried to close my eyes, and then I felt it, the prickling at the back of my neck. I turned. Nobody was looking at me. Everyone was looking up towards Ayase and down at the ground. Whose eyes are those? I heard a noise. The sound of someone hitting the ground. I never heard that sound before. It was less loud than I thought it would be.
まさか
No way. I'm assuming he was standing right next to me, watched in shock. He was looking where Yasi had fallen, but instead of showing fear or sorrow, his expression was one of surprise. It wasn't just Masumi either. The whole crowd of gawking onlookers had fallen silent, like they weren't sure what had just
生
happened.
きて
She's alive. Huh? Alive? The flowers! I made the flowers real. Yay! What is the gold stuff around the flowers? Ayase was laying on the ground. Had her bones been shattered? I couldn't tell. Had her organs been smashed? I didn't know. Her brains weren't splattered all over the place. Her dark red blood wasn't anywhere to be seen either. Ugh. A soft but clear audible moan escaped her lips. She was alive. She had passed out and wasn't moving out at all. But she didn't seem to be injured. The most I could see was a small trickle of blood on her forehead. She had fallen all the way from the roof. But now she was almost unharmed. She was lying on top of the flower bed.
花壇に
Flower bed? Had there been a flower bed there? Nozomi!
予定と結果
Am I
に
correct in
大
saying
き
these
な
results
違
were
いが
very
あった
different from
よ
the
うだ
initial
な
expectations?
我々は
We took our
進化
first
へ
step
の第
forwards
一歩を踏み
towards
出した
evolution.
三桁もの死
None
人
of
が
us
出るな
told
ど
anything about three-digit casualties.
計画に不備があった
Was
の
there a
かね
problem with the plan?
お
No.
二人にはぜひ
I'd like the both
人
of
の
you
進
to
化の
think
歴
back
史というものを
on
振り
history
返
of
ってみ
human
ていただきたい
evolution.
ものだ。
進化には
If
多
you're
少
trying
の
to
犠
tell
牲
me
は
that
つきもの
evolution
という
always
点に
involves
つ
some
いて
sort of
は異論は
sacrifice,
ない
then fine.
死人のことな
The
ど
casualties
どう
are
でもいい
irrelevant.
重要なのは
What's
予定と
important is
違う
that
と
this
いうこ
wasn't
と
in
だ
the plan.
想定の範囲内
The
ですよ
outcome was within expected parameters, at least in my mind.
ならばな
Then
ぜ
why didn't you
事前
inform
には
us
情
beforehand?
報をコン
It
トロー
takes
ルす
time
る
and
には
preparation to keep
それな
the
り
wrong
の下準
information
備が必要な
from
のだ
reaching
ぞ
the public.
貴様の推
We
挙の
aren't
ため
sacrificing this much
人や
money
金を
and
犠
this
牲に
many
してきた
lives
わけではない
so that you can
それを
entertain
忘れ
yourself.
た
Don't forget that.
ご安心を
Wait a
先
minute.
ほど申しました通り
Don't worry, as I said,
想
this is
定の
within
範囲
expected values. No. Do not. Do not. No. No. Fuck you. No. That better not be Sua. The guy in front of us that we got it back to us, that better not be Sua. That better not be Sua.
いずれ近いうちに
Before long, you won't have to worry about getting enough votes during elections, or having your overzealous evangelism attract the attention of local prosecutors. Before long, we will change Japan. No, the
世界を
world
変える日
forever.
も
口を慎め
Silence. If the
300
committee of
人
300
以下
finds
の
out about
造反
this
が知れれば
act of treason,
我らに
we're all
待っているのは
finished.
破滅だ
君の役目
Your
は
job is to
計
ensure
画
the
通り
plan
にことを
proceeds as
進めるこ
scheduled.
とであって
Nothing
そ
less
れ以上
and
でも
nothing
以下
more.
でもないよ
調整は我々がや
We'll
る
ensure this gets covered up.
承知しています
I'm aware.
それで
So, let's hear
第
your
二世
report
代についての
on the
報
second
告を聞こう
generation.
か
お二人にも満
I'm
足し
sure
て
the
い
two
た
of
だけ
you
る
will
仕
be
上がり
completely
ですよ
satisfied.
ノア2
Noah, too, will in fact be. Are you Sua? You better not be Sua. Is Sua and Yua related? I ran at top speed from school to the park. By the time I got there, I was too out of breath to move an inch. My lungs were desperate and need oxygen. As I gasped for air, I took a quick glance around the park. There was nobody there. The people I was afraid of, Shogun and Yua, were nowhere to be seen. Relieved, I decided to catch a breath. It was almost evening. The sky was shifting from blue, the color of twilight. The park was as calm, as quiet as ever, as if all the craziness at school had never even happened. In the end, Ayase's jump was treated as an attempted suicide. She was carried off in an ambulance, and I had no way of knowing what had happened to her after that. Afterward, I'd given up on trying to find Rumi and ran all the way here instead. I couldn't get what I'd just seen out of my head. When Yayase had jumped, when Yayase had fallen, I was sure she was dead. But when she had survived, I didn't know how, but she had survived. She was breathing, she hadn't looked injured at all. A fall from that height should have killed anyone, but she had miraculously survived, because she had fallen right on top of a soft flower bed. But that was impossible, physically impossible. There had been no flower bed there. Right until the moment she hit the ground, it had been an asphalt parking lot. A bunch of the teachers' cars had been parked there. So where did the flower bed come from? Did I do that? I remember having a delusion that she might survive if there was a flower bed there below. But that didn't mean, could a delusion that only lasted an instant like that really become reality? Maybe I really did have some kind of special power. I had already seen something similar happen when Iyase split into two people before. Could I even do something as incredible as making a flower bed appear out of nowhere, even without a D-sword? And that flower bed was still there after she'd fallen too. When the teachers had run over to her, they had left footprints in the dirt. The flowers, I think they were the same flowers as the ones in the courtyard, had snapped at the stems when the MTs had walked over them. It was probably still there too. My delusions had become reality and stayed that way. It hadn't disappeared like the other Ayase. And what's more, everyone had accepted it as natural. No one had wondered why there was a flower bed there. Had I done that? Hey. Hello? I think that's Sana. That's Sana's voice. I heard a sharp voice calling from behind me. I turned around just in time to see a hand reach out and grab me by the collar. Before I even had time to resist, I was slammed hard into a piece of playground equipment. But why? Why would you slam me? I hit my back hard. Yeah, it sounds painful. I hit my back hard and moaned in pain. Why would you slam me? Why would you do that? It was you, wasn't it? Yes, but you could have been polite about this. My back hurts now. I'll take a nap. It was you, wasn't it? You're the one who made that flower bed. Yeah? You could have just asked me like a normal person. It was Sandy who attacked me out of nowhere. She was yanking my collar hard too. I can't breathe. Okay, I need air in order to answer your question. I tried flailing my arms around, but she didn't let go at all. There was an intense light in her eyes that might have been murderous. I shivered. Why would you be angry at me for saving someone's life? Shaking my head frantically, thinking she was going to kill me. Don't lie to me. You could have just asked like a normal person. Sana's hot breath tickled my cheek. Her face was so close I was worried she might bite me. Why was this woman so violent and scary? Save me. Somebody save me. Do you have anything to do with the Cosmic Church of Divine Light? I can't breathe. Cosmic what? Who taught you how to use that power? I'm just falling into this. Did you make a terrible pun? Maybe. My sense of humor sucks. Sana's voice sounded tense. I'd never heard it like that before. But I didn't know what she meant. All I could do was frantically shake my head. What I saw, that was impossible. You can't make an error real without using a D-sword. Who taught you how to do that? Who was it? Answer me. Nobody had taught me anything, but if anyone had, it was... Ayase. I couldn't breathe. I was going to suffocate. I was passing out dying. I couldn't stay awake. Yeah, I can't answer a question if you make me unconscious. Just before I passed out, Senna suddenly let me go. I collapsed where I stood. I need my lungs and esophagus to breathe. Could you please not choke me to death? I'm not, into that kind of kink. I'm not a whole chokey person. I coughed and tried to force as much air into my lungs as I could. What the hell was going on? Was Sana my enemy after all? Was she working with Shogun too? If so, I had to get out of here. You really don't have anything to do with the Cosmic Church of Divine Light, right? What the hell was the Cosmic Church of Divine Light? Do they have a bake sale? I'd never even heard of them. Santa saw my confusion and looked momentarily annoyed, but finally stopped glaring at me. She's, why are you annoyed with me? I'm the one who got
悪かっ
choked.
た
I'm
関係
sorry.
ないならいい
If not, then at least you said you're sorry. She didn't sound apologetic at all. She turned to leave. It looked like she didn't intend to hurt me after all. If that was the case, then
あの
I worked up my courage and spoke. I thought she'd ignore me, but she stopped and turned back. She was still frowning, but at least it looked like she would listen to me.
力って何なの
What do you mean by power? Senna knew something. She'd asked if I was the one who created the flower bed. Everybody else there ended up thinking the flower bed had been there from the start, but for some reason Senna knew differently.
さっきの花壇
How did that flower bed?
お前が妄想した
It
んだ
was your delusion, right? My delusion, yeah, it was,
妄想
but
は
it's possible to turn delusions into reality.
本当じゃないものが
You
景
slip
色に
something
紛れ
that's
込む
not real into everyone's vision.
つまり
In other words,
エ
you
ラー
make
を現
people
実と
think
して認識
the
させ
error
る
is real.
でも
But
視界に映
if
す
all you
だ
can
けじゃ
do is see it,
それって
it's nothing more than
幻でしか
illusion.
ないよ
An illusion wasn't real, it doesn't exist. If the flower bed was an illusion, Ayase would be dead right now. Ayase had survived because it was an illusion. It was a real flower bed.
世界の仕組みは
There are three
3つの
numbers
数字で
that
全
can
て説明
explain
で
the
きる
entire way the world functions.
0と1
0, 1,
そして
and
マイナ
minus
ス
1.
1 D ソードはそのマイナス1
D
を
sword
生み出すため
is
の
a
ショート
shortcut
カ
to
ットに
creating the minus 1. Kind of reminds the idea of a quantum computer. Because there are quantum computers, and granted they are making a lot of advancements on it. Technically, it doesn't use binary. Did I make sure I didn't fuck up the audio? Bah. Okay,
D ソードなしでそれをやった
but you did what you did without a D sword. I still want one. She was starting to go off the rails again. All right, yeah, a quantum computer. It technically can do 1, 0, or both at the same time. So technically a negative 1 or a 2. No, but what Senna was saying wasn't just some girl's crazy ramblings. The VR technology patent was real, at least. Maybe Senna knew something after all.
いいか
Listen to
これ
me.
以上エラーを作
Don't
る
make any more errors.
それがお前のため
I'm telling you this for your own good.
それと
And if you see any
他に
other
もエラーを
errors,
見たら教えろ
tell me. Her words sounded almost like a threat, and then she turned
目に
away.
見えるものだけを信じられることがどんなに幸せか
It must be so wonderful to believe in just the things you can see. Senna whispered that, and then this time she left the park. Okay. There was silence on the floor of AH Tokyo General Hospital. The psychiatric wards were hospital. Surgery and emergency wards were supposedly dealing with rash unexplained comas. Started occur after the earthquake. But the psych ward had nothing to do with any of that, if anything, or they'd finished up their outpatient exams a little earlier than scheduled. A few days from now, they might have a flood of people experience PTSD from the earthquake, but for now, at least, there was nothing left to do but outpatient stuff to do. Shino Hazuki, one of the nurses, had been working here since last night. I belatedly realized she'd barely taken a break the whole time. She was hungry, too. The ward had lost one of its doctors the other day. He had been murdered horribly in one of the new gen incidents, and his replacement hadn't come yet, so there weren't enough people. But all that was left for the day was a few minor tasks. She could hand them over to the night staff, and she'd finally be able to go home. She slapped her cheeks with her hands, telling herself she just had to hang in there a little longer, and she began to quickly walk across the lobby. Suddenly she felt a gaze behind her, a prickling on the back of her neck. She shivered. She spun around as sheer reflex, but there was nothing there but a quiet, empty hallway. Miss Nurse? Hazuki was startled. The voice had come from a completely opposite direction than she expected. She thought the lobby was empty, but there was one person left. He called out to her when he had seen her. Hi, Sua. Nua, Dua, Sua. It was a man with a handsome, if still young, face. His pallor was healthy, and he certainly didn't
あ
look
な
sick.
たは
You're...
ちょっと時間
Can
も
I
ら
have
っ
a
ていいです
moment
か
of your time?
はあ
I guess.
どうもっす
Thanks. The man gave an embarrassed smile, then suddenly grabbed her by the arm and pulled her from the lobby toward the stairs. The man, Sua, had taken a small black book from his pocket and showed it to her. He flipped open to show her the police ID. He stopped next to the stairs and looked around carefully to make sure nobody was
そ
nearby.
れで
So,
お話って
What can I do for you? She still had work to do, and was feeling a little uneasy. Sua seemed to realize this, so without wasting any more time, he took out a photo from his pocket and showed it to her. Do you recognize this boy? It was a photo of a listless-looking Takumi Nishijo. Because of the nature of her work, Hazuki prided herself on being good with faces, and she nodded without even really thinking about whether it was okay to answer or not. Takumi Nishijo. You're sure? Yes, but
でも
her hesitation was natural. Giving anyone, even the police, information about a patient was strictly against the rules. But of course, Sua had known that when he talked to her, his casual attitude suddenly vanished, and a serious look appeared on his face. He dropped his voice as he spoke. I need you to do me a favor. Can you show me Takumi Nishijo's medical records? Huh?
そんなの
I can't. No, that's impossible. Yeah, I'll lose my fucking job.
とある事件に関わる
It could be the
重
key
要
to
なことなん
cracking
で
the
すよ
case. Hazuki wasn't sure what to do. She turned to leave, but Sua got in front of her and blocked her. Please, leave me alone.
迷惑はかけないです
I'll make sure it doesn't get back to you, so please. Finally, he got on his knees and began to
や
beg.
やめてください
Stop it, really.
無理
I
なんです
can't.
これ以上
I need your help to make sure nobody else gets killed. What could she do to make him give up? Hazuki couldn't come up with anything, so she just stood there helplessly. Okay. After Santa left, I spent a while just standing there in shock, then quickly dashed back home. Fortunately, I didn't run into Shogun or Yua. In the end, I'd come back here without even finding Rimi. After that earthquake, when happened in Yase, I was sure they had sent the students home early for the day. It was even possible Rimi might show up here soon. Until then, I just had to sit here quaking in fear, I guess. I decided I would take my mind off fear by using my now functional computer to gather information. Then I saw my phone, where I'd left it next to my monitor. The light on it was flashing. I had opened it and saw I had received a message. I thought it would be from Mimi, but... Okay. Today at school, something amazing happened. Somebody tried to jump off the roof. I was so shocked and scared. Sob, I wonder if they're okay. Were you at school? Oh, it's my sister. Why would you put it as amazing? Because it says Nana, so that would be my sister, right? Why would you say that is amazing? I was so shocked and scared, Sob. I wonder if they're okay. Were you at school when it happened? The earthquake was really crazy, huh? My head hurt. Wonder why. I guess to Nanami nothing had happened today. That was a big deal. Lucky her, of course. I didn't answer. I decided to look up anything I could find on Yase. I couldn't find a fantastic official homepage. The media didn't have anything to say about her either. To be fair, the earthquake was probably far bigger news than an attempt at suicide by the vocalist of an indie band. Right now, I had no way of knowing if she was okay. There was a lot more information on the earthquake published now than there had been when I last looked. The number of dead had climbed to 118, and there were over 300 injured too. I couldn't believe there was a 3-digit number of fatalities. The epicenter of the quake was Shibuya, and the damage was limited to Shibuya to an extent that was surprising. The quake itself was in intensity 5. There was also an article saying that almost every piece of magnetic media in Shibuya had been destroyed. The thought of the tragedy had befallen me. To other people, the frustration and anger I felt come roaring back. It was a true tragedy. The H-Games save data, my porn collection. They would never come back. Still, it didn't seem like an ordinary earthquake. An ordinary earthquake wouldn't have killed 118 people. The internet had noticed how odd that was too, and there was a lot of discussion. Again, how would they cause it? Makes sense, explains how. I thought to go back to what happened during the earthquake. I had been hit by an incredible shock. It was a sensation I never felt before, like my head was boiling over and exploding. That could easily kill someone, I thought. I looked at what was on TV too, not just the internet. My PC and TV tuner built in, and what was I needed to do with the PC? That's why I didn't need a TV in my room.
現在までに死者118名、重軽傷者300名以上と非常に多くの犠牲者が出ていることが分かっています。
We know now that the number of confirmed fatalities is 118, with over 300 people badly injured. That's an extremely high number of
さて、
casualties.
渋谷の駅前と中継がつながったようです。
We're getting live video from the front of Shibuya
島
Station.
谷さん、現地の様子はいかがですか？
Shibatani-san, what's it look like out there? It's really windy!
2005年に同じように震度5の地
There was
震が
another
東京
quake
であ
of
っ
this
たんです
intensity
よ
in
その
2005.
時は
Not
ゼロ
one
で
person died.
なぜ今
So
回
how
は
are there
100
over
名以上の
100
被害者が
fatalities
出てい
now?
るんですか
被害者の数は震度に比例するわけ
The
じゃな
number
い
of
んです
casualties
そこには
doesn't
様々な
necessarily
要因
correlate
が
to
あ
the
りま
size
し
of
て
the quake. There can be a number of factors.
亡くなった方の死因や
We still
病
don't
院に
have
運
any
ばれた負傷
details
者
of
の容
cause of
体に
death
ついて
or
は
the state of the
未だ
injured.
詳しい情報
When
が入っ
taken
て
to
おりません
hospitals,
また渋谷区
we've
を
also
中心に
brought in
磁気メ
experts
ディ
to
アが全
discuss
開
the
してし
heavy
まっている
damage
ことについ
magnetic
て
media
今日は
in an
専門
area
家に
centered
お越
around
しいただいておりま
Shibuya.
す
地質学産業
We
研
have
究
with
所
us
より
Dr.
早瀬原
Taizo
泰造先生
Hayashibara
地
from
質
the
調査環境センターより
Geological
小沢幹
Industrial
人先生にお
Research
越しいただきました
Laboratory, and Dr. Mikihito Ozawa from the Nonprofit Center for Geo-Environmental
林原さん
Investigation.
今回の地震について
Dr.
磁気メディ
Hayabara,
アに深刻な
what
被害が
caused
出
the
た
heavy
原因というの
damage
はど
to
う
the
いうところにあるん
magnetic
でしょうか
media that we saw during this
ま
earthquake?
ず知っておいていただ
The
きたい
first thing
の
I
は
want you to
渋
be
谷区
aware
あたり
of
の地下200
is
メ
that
ート
there
ル付
is a
近には
layer
磁
of
鉄
magnetite. That is a
つま
natural
り
magnet
天然の
200
磁石が
meters
多く埋
below
蔵
the
されている
Shibuya area.
地層の分類
It's
としては
classified
火成岩
as
層で
igneous
すが
rock,
私たちはこのエリアを磁
but we
鉄
call
の
the area
谷
Magnetite Valley. Why hasn't it been mined out? It sounds valuable.
地中にある
It's a massive layer
文字通
of
りかなり
magnetite
大
deep
規模な
below the
岩脈がこ
surface.
こにですね
200 meters doesn't sound deep. If you were to apply a large force at strata like the earthquake we just
そ
saw,
の影響で
the
地上に
effects
存
of
在
its
する磁
magnetic
生体
field
主
could,
に
in
磁気メ
theory,
ディアの持つ記
do
録部に
fail
致命的なダメージを与えても
damage
おかしくはないんです
to any magnetic media on the
Nani o
surface.
baka na.
Absolutely
小
ridiculous.
沢先生は
Dr.
別の意
Oswald,
見
you
です
see
か
things differently. I do agree with that, like the way the magnet stuff work. It's like, heck, the sun can have solar storms. That can. I think we had the last really huge one in the 1800s. We had like telegraph machines. A lot of that stuff caught fucking fire. If we had something like that again, it'd probably send us back to the fucking dark ages for 3 years.
確かに
Yes,
渋谷の地下には
he's
巨大
correct.
な
There's a
マグネタイトの
large
岩脈があることは事実です
magnetite magneton Pokemon beneath
です
Shibuya.
が
But this magnetite layer is
には
far
あ
too
ま
weak
り
to
にも
exert
微
any
弱
real
なこの
magnetic
マグネ
forces,
タイト群にはです
particularly one
ね
large enough to affect
地上
stable
の磁気
magnetic
モーメント
fields
や安定
a
を
magnetic
崩す
moment
ほど
on
の
the
力は
surface.
ないとい
This is
うのが
common
実際で
knowledge.
すね
In
過
fact,
去に
we've
も
had
震度
plenty
5
of
の地震
intensity
は
5
何度も発
earthquakes
生してい
in
ま
the
す
past, and none
過
of
去
them
のそれらの地震
have
で
done
は
anything
今
close
回
to
のような
this.
なので
Thus,
原因
I
は
think
別にあ
the
るのでは
logical
ない
thing
かと
to
考
do
えるのが妥当だと思います
is seek explanations elsewhere.
そう
Everyone's like, why do you sound so bored?
今
Reading?
回
I'm
の
like,
異
I
常
don't
な
know.
犠牲者数に
I
つい
just,
ては
I'm,
ただの地震では片付け
my
られ
attention
ない
span is
何か
just
があるの
dying.
が
This is like,
事実なわ
this
け
is
で
like
ある
fucking Deadpool listening to Cable ramble on and on. And it is, I know, like, it makes no sense. Like, I'm normally the person rambling I have in my fucking videos. But it's like, yeah, you ever watch Deadpool in the Deadpool video game as he's just crying, listening to Cable ramble? And he's like, make it stop. I see where you're coming from, but it's also true that there are far too many casual right off as a mere earthquake.
渋谷にいた人の
Practically
ほとんど
everybody
が
in
頭痛
Shibuya
がしたって訴えてることから
has been
も
claiming
間
headaches, almost
違いな
certain
く
magnetic
自
fields
鉄鋼が関
are
係レバー
involved.
ごときで
Are you
100人も
seriously
殺
telling
せ
me
る
that
と
a
主張
magnetic
するお
field
つ
can
もり
kill
です
100
か
people? Yeah. I mean, depending on the concentration of it, yeah.
それではここで
We'll be
CM
back
です
right after these commercials. Okay.
結局
Well,
詳しいことは
that
何
didn't tell
も
me
わからなか
much.
った
The media was ignoring the huge white cloud that appeared in Shibuya and the reports, the sky turning white. They had been reporting them at first, but now it was like they had been treated as if they never happened. It felt like I felt really creeped out. So is Grim dead? Is Remy dead? Is my sister dead? My parents dead? Is the school exploded? The after-hours entrance, the AH Tokyo General Hospital, had a place at site Amos Park when they arrived and emerged the patients. There were 2 ambulances there now, and the MTs were unloading. Patients to carry them into the hospital. My doctor in light gray surgical gown, middle-aged, head nurse were giving them orders. There were several patients sitting around the entrance, waiting to be seen. It was clear that the doctors were having trouble keeping up. There were two types of patients coming in today. The first were injured, who had blood dripping from their arms, forehead, and their face or twisted pain. They are now painful to look at, but they were being ignored for now. The priorities were given to patients who were being brought in unconscious, but without any external wounds. An awful lot of people coming in from earthquake fit this description. These symptoms had never been seen before in such an earthquake. As of now, the doctors had no idea what had caused them to lose consciousness. Okay. Another ambulance arrived as loud sirens blazing. It's probably Faz. The technician got out of the ambulance and yelled at the doctor who asked him for the patient's description. This one's your top priority. The one that was the only explanation. The most doctors would have complained. With all that was going on, this normal answer would be told to prioritize your own patients would be, "Go screw yourself." But surprisingly, the doctor and the head nurse both nodded. I helped unload the stretcher from the ambulance. Lying on the stretcher was Yase Kishimoto. She was unconscious and moaning softly. The doctors and techs quickly took the stretcher inside, ignoring the glares of the injured around them. Okay, so unless I ran to the hospital, we're actually seeing Remy interact with other people in a situation where I'm not there and the other person who's possibly not real isn't there. Standing a bit away from them, the main entrance of the hospital was a girl. She was watching them intently. Remy Sakihata narrowed her eyebrows and bit her lip. Here's a question, though. Wasn't Kishimoto run here really fast? So, if you beat the ambulance here, didn't that mean you were actually here before she jumped? The earthquake was concerning, but Shogun was a much bigger deal to it right now. I need to go to bed. So fucking tired. Okay. Everyone, thanks for hanging out. I am so tired.